Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here, and I don't know about y'all. I am still riding on cloud nine after the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs 20-14 on Christmas in a game that Aidan O'Connell didn't complete a pass the final three quarters, in a game that the Raiders did not score an offensive touchdown. I mean, if that's not a Christmas miracle, then I don't really know what to even think. Again, y'all, we're going to be having a lot of fun here on today's show. I got over 300 people. I'm going to really hope that my voice stays, because I woke up this morning, I went to bed last night, and Alex was like genuinely concerned that I was not going to have a voice. But you know what, man? I always got the voice for this, and if you want to shout out on the Raiders Report, this is probably the most proud of this team that I have been this entire season. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was elated. I was ecstatic. I was unbelievably happy. Shit, we went live for 26 straight hours when the Raiders moved on from Josh McDaniels. I'm like just that close to riding that type of high, beating Kansas City on Christmas, but it was the way they did it. And don't get me wrong, the offense frustrated the shit out of me, but being able to frustrate Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and I saw some of y'all making comments about the thumbnail that I made, but seeing Taylor and Brittany there just look like an absolute shambles. This is the happiest I've been in a long time. So if you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, spam FKC, and I'm really wondering if our Chiefs troll Hefe is going to be pulling up today, because I don't think he's going to be here today. What up, Cloud? What up, NY Raider fan? I see you. Zach Ruiz in the building, Jermeister, Juan Hernandez, Lord Only Dans, Oscar Meza, Rudy 54-53, Luis Rodriguez, we out here entertainment. Yesterday's MVP, Willie Pfister? The answer to that is probably Yario. What up, my man Jamari Murray here in the building. I got my dude Raider Mendez, Pat Murphy, Anthony Ibarra, Rory, I thought that said Pikachu, Joshua Chapa, my brother Raider Sancho 83. So here's the big question on today's show, and I mean, judging by the votes here, which I was kind of laughing before we went live. I looked at Jeremy and I go, bro, at the time there was only 200 votes. Now we got close to 600, and it was, do you want Antonio Pierce to be the Raiders head coach next season? 98% of the votes right now say yes. 2% of the votes at no. So since the Raiders took down Kansas City on Christmas, does Antonio Pierce deserve to be the head coach? Yes or no? I said before the game even started that if AP is able to take down Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and they're able to really shut out that entire team, then you have to hire him. One of the big things that I mentioned with the Bengals defensive coordinator, why I wanted him, is because of the amount of success that he's had against the Chiefs in recent history. I understand the fact that, yeah, Kansas City's wide receivers really struggled, but what's the most important thing, I think, when you're looking at being a head coach? It's being able to make those in-game adjustments. It's also the ability to make adjustments. And you look at a team that they were horrible against Kansas City in the final, was it 3 quarters of action the first time these teams played? You got outscored 31-3, and now you go back to the drawing board, and sure, your offense was still unable to put up any touchdowns, but it was the fact that your defense was able to get stops, and it's not even like the NFL officiating tried everything that they possibly could have to give Mahomes, Travis Kelce, that Chiefs offense, the amount of opportunities. But bottom line, the Raiders lose yesterday's game. I think if anybody that's not named Antonio Pierce is the head coach, like, this team is super laid back. They talk about how right now they're allowed to do just about anything they want. Now, it's obviously comes with a lot of friendship, responsibility, but Jack Jones spoke about it, and since Antonio Pierce has taken over as head coach, this is the least penalized team in the National Football League. I mean, I don't really know what else you need to see from AP. I get it, the offense stinks, but the way that I look at this Raiders team is you're still trying to run a Josh McDaniels style of offense, but now you're seeing the benefits of what this defense looks like with AP at the helm. I don't see how anybody can possibly type no. Herschel Allen, Scott Black, Mark the Pain Docker, Vincenzo People, Sienna Cully, Casper, Patrick B. I mean, everybody is typing yes. Antonio Pierce has earned the right to call himself the Raiders head coach in 2024. Champ Kelly's going to be back as well. I think the real thing that we got to start wondering, and I'll talk about it here on today's show, is will Patrick Graham be back? Because I think a lot of people just think that he's going to be back. I don't know if Patrick Graham's going to be back. We want him back. Doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be coming back. Now, I'm rocking my Marion Reedus, and I need y'all to be able to read something on screen right now. Huge shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. And if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, just make sure that you use code CLNS. That tells PrizePicks that you're a watcher here of the Raiders Report, and it, believe it or not, helps me out quite a bit. But PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy, and all you got to do is pick 2+ players, choose more, or you can choose less. And if you're wondering, Mitch, what picks are you going with this week? Well, PrizePicks actually doesn't have anything yet out for the Raiders and Colts game, and a lot of times, I don't know why it is, they just don't have it out quite yet. It can be injuries. They'll probably put something out by Thursday. But if you want to go with this slate of games right here, and this is Thursday night football, Joe Flacco, give me the more on that. And I can't even believe I'm saying that because Joe Flacco's my mortal enemy. Amari Cooper at 55.5 receiving yards. That's actually one of the best values you're going to find out there. I get it. Yeah, he had 265 yesterday. And you got Sauce Gardner. You got a very talented defense in New York. But Amari Cooper right now is on an absolute burner right now, so give me the more there. Garrett Wilson at 45.5 receiving yards. I know how talented the Browns are on the defensive side of football. Garrett Wilson's getting 45.5, and then Greg the Leg Zerloin at 1.5 field goals. More, a little bit more. And make sure you're tuned in live when Jeremy Chugs and I go cover this game on Thursday, Jets, Browns. And if anybody wants to get started again, that link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS. So coming up here on today's show, we are going to get into lots and lots of Raiders rumors, a lot of discussion after that game against Kansas City, because there's so many talking points that I have that what you're going to see is like, I'm telling you, it's a bunch of hot takes, overreaction Tuesday style of stuff. First one is from Mark Carbone, and remember, if you want a chance to get up here on the show, 2 ways to do it. Use hashtag Raiders. Jeremy's going to find some of his favorite questions, put them up here on the show. If you want to skip the line like Mark did, send in the super chat. We got you. Was the deadline for Harbuagh contract yesterday? I know this is something that I talked about last week, but it was in regards to the rumors around Jim Harbaugh potentially going back to Michigan. It is a fact that Harbaugh was looking for a contract by Christmas Day and said that essentially if Michigan didn't give him a deal, which Ian Rappaport reported, and I talked about it, I want to say, on Saturday, that apparently a 10-year, $125 million deal is being thrown out there. But Harbaugh and his team, from what we understand, are very upset because he was hoping that Michigan was going to give him a new deal, hasn't gotten one yet, and now it's essentially he's going to wait till the end of the season, going to renegotiate. I'm actually going to talk about Harbaugh a little bit coming up here on today's show because there is a new team that has been put into the mix here to have Harbaugh as the next head coach. The thing is, I don't think it's going to be the Raiders. So for quarterback next season, would you rather have Aidan O'Connell or would you rather have a new quarterback? And I know how the nation is, right? I know how the nation hooks onto their QB because that's our QB and that's the guy that we're riding with for the season. And here's the thing. You're probably going to have to ride with Aidan for the remainder of the season. But when you talk about next season, I think it's okay, even if the Raiders were to make the playoffs, for you to move on from Aidan. And it's not because, like, I understand that quarterback is looked at as a win-loss, right? Like, Aidan is 4-4 as a starting quarterback. I get it. If the Raiders ride into the playoffs with Aidan as the QB, I get the argument around it. But the Raiders are winning despite Aidan O'Connell. The Raiders are winning despite this offense. If anything, it makes me wonder if, holy shit, if we actually had a halfway decent QB, what this team would actually look like, because this is the best defense in the NFL right now, and I don't think that's all that far-fetched to say. When you look at what this defense has been able to do with Antonio Pierce, with Patrick Graham, giving up 14.9 points per game in that time, and that's going up against Kansas City twice and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I would say if you asked a lot of people out there, what are the best offenses in the NFL, I'm going to say 90% of everybody puts those two teams in their top 10. And I don't see how you don't. There's going to be people that put both of those teams in their top 5. So for new quarterback next season, AOC or a new QB. I'm seeing a lot of new QBs from Vincenzo. Now, Yvette Youngblood's going to roll with AOC. Metcalf, him, says Justin Fields, a new QB from Cloud. I also see Ron Raspberry, top 5 defense for sure, probably top 3. Ron, I got a surprise for you, and it's going to be coming up just a little bit. All right, y'all, if anybody wants a chance to win some money on today's show, I know there was a few people out there asking, are we going to do a 50-50 raffle today? The answer to that is yes. So if you want a chance to get in, all you got to do is send in a $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, and we're going to put you in for a chance to win a little bit of money. So if anybody wants in to test their luck, I get it. If some of y'all are like, Mitch, all my luck was used yesterday in that Chiefs game. Hey, man, I don't disagree, but at the end of the day, I like having a little bit of fun. I like seeing what people are going to be doing, and it's good to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm getting all these messages now on my phone, and I don't know, my phone's kind of glitching out a little bit. Luis Rodriguez, you in. What up, Luis? Hopefully you had a very, very Merry Christmas, my guy. Let's go to Jagger Drury. John Gruden is OC. What are your thoughts?
It's actually John Gurdon.
Yeah, here's the problem. One, there is no H in John Gruden, which used to always get me in trouble.
Also,
and then Gurdon.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know who John Gurdon is. I know that there's going to be some Raider fans out there that probably like the idea of having Gruden back. What I just don't understand is why anybody would want Gruden back. I mean, he ran such an old-school style of offense, was never really able to adapt to current NFL structures, and I don't really want Gruden to come back on this team. Like, in today's day and age, you need to be able to have a fun, entertaining, creative offense, and none of that describes what John Gruden's very, very vanilla offense was. So to me, I'm going to go out, I'm going to try to find somebody that's a little bit younger, somebody that's really just going to focus in on being the offensive coordinator, but also you have to have in mind of what type of QB am I going to go after, because yes, it's going to be important to, if I'm the head coach, Antonio Pierce, Champ Kelly, whoever is that entire regime, you're going to, if it was up to me, I'm going to circle 3 quarterbacks on my board, and I'm going to say these are the 3 QBs that I'm going to go after, and because that I'm going to go after those 3 QBs, these are going to be the offensive coordinators that I need to be able to bring in to use that QB. Like, you can't just say it's John Gruden and then find a quarterback. That's not smart.
And also, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on for a second.
All right, I'm listening.
Raider fans, we already know. A lot of people think the NFL is out to get you. You know, the refs are out to get you. John Gruden is about to go into trial against the NFL. And you want to bring this guy on your team. If you want as much heat on your team, if like, you know, I know everybody thinks, oh, the NFL is trying to screw us. If you think they're trying to screw you now, and you add John Gruden to your team, how do you think that's going to go for your team? I mean, not saying
they're just going to give Super Bowls to Mahomes.
Yeah, not saying it will happen, but if you already think there's corruption and collusion in the NFL, and you add John Gruden, who's suing the NFL.
Hey, man, I hear you. I could not agree with you more, and it's not even, that's just the cherry on top to me. Like, that's just another reason why there's just absolutely no way that you can bring in John Gruden. Let's go to my guy Sancho. Keep AP and PG. Get a new quarterback in OC. We golden. It will be something that I talk about here on today's show. And for those of you that watched one of the shows that I put out over the weekend, last week I kind of hinted at what I think that the new regime is going to look like with Antonio Pierce as the head coach. So today we're going to kind of get into that just a little bit more. But hey, we got 900 people here tuned in. It's Victory Tuesday. I am going to do the best that I possibly can to keep my voice. Obviously, we were screaming, partying, doing all sorts of crazy shit last night. But you know what? We're here. I'm ready to have a good time. Hopefully everyone had a very, very Merry Christmas. But if you could, make sure you smash that like button. Let's go to Ben Bailey. Mitch, you are quickly ready to move on from O'Connell. Be careful what you wish for. We dumped a good coach and ended up with McDaniels. We need to develop this kid, not dump him after 1 year. I guess I don't really know who you're referring to, because if you're referring to John Gruden and the Mike Mayock were probably one of the worst GM head coach combos. If you're talking about Rich Bisaccia, I think Rich Bisaccia would have been a much better hire than Josh McDaniels, but I don't think that you should compare it to McDaniels because, again, I don't think anybody besides Mark Davis thought that McDaniels was going to be the right man for the job. Like, the better comparison is Derek Carr because the Raiders moved on from D.C., and you were supposed to be able to try to upgrade, and in fact, instead of upgrading, you just drastically got worse at the quarterback position. My point was imagine you having the ability to pick between guys like Lamar Jackson, having the ability to pick like an Aaron Rodgers, draft a QB, and McDaniels goes, nah, I'm going to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. To me, you have to have better guys at the realm to pick a quarterback that's better than Aidan O'Connell, which will not be difficult.
Everybody's saying, we need to develop. Well, first of all, you need to show some promise. After what we saw yesterday, and minus the Chargers game where the Raiders just dominated, minus that game, has Aidan really showed you enough to be like, you know what? He can do it next year. If we put together, he doesn't even have the base to like actually build upon or improve. Like
I think the Aidan O'Connell conversation takes me right back to the Derek Carr conversation where it was 100% the right move for the Raiders to move on from D.C. It was 100% the wrong move to then bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I don't understand why fans want to stick with Aidan. Like, that's just you trying to hit a single in a division. I get it. They beat Kansas City yesterday. But I mean, the game should have been a blowout if you have a halfway decent quarterback.
Do I think Aidan should at least get a shot? There should be a QB battle in camp? Yes. Whoever the Raiders bring in, whether that be free agent or trade or if they draft a quarterback.
I agree.
I think you keep Aidan O'Connell on the roster. You keep him there because the continuity with the team.
He absolutely will be on the roster next season. He's just going to be a backup.
He'll be a good backup, and he'll get the opportunity to start, but it'll really show a lot of the new GM, whether that's Kelly or somebody new, and head coach, if they can't bring in anybody that's better than Aidan O'Connell. Then you should be worried.
I mean, if I'm the Raiders, if you miss drastically, right, or like if you miss drastically in terms of trading for a guy and you're like, I don't like any of these quarterbacks in the draft, I mean, even at that point, then you got to consider trying to sign a free agent QB, which that's not even the route that I would go. There's just no way that you can roll with Aidan O'Connell as your main starting quarterback in 2024. If that's the Raiders' plan, and if it's Antonio Pierce's plan, I know I've already said that Antonio Pierce should be the next head coach of the Raiders. If AP looked me dead in the eyes right now and said, Aidan O'Connell is going to be the Raiders' starting quarterback next season, I'm going to say I don't want Antonio Pierce to be my head coach because that's just not a smart football decision at all. It's not a smart football decision.
I thought you would like this next super chat.
Next one from Search Eye, smoking this State Farm Pfizer Taylor Swift pack. I'll tell you what, there's a lot going on there with Search Eye. But this is how I felt this morning. This is how the entire nation felt. Right, I'm telling you right now, I was a happy, happy dude last night. I was a happy, happy man from top to bottom. I see Red Eye Raider says, bring Alex Smith out of retirement. Alex Smith might be a better option than Aidan O'Connell.
Search High said if AOC struggles versus the Colts, AP sub in
Jimmy Garoppolo or Garoppolo.
Garoppolo.
I'll talk about Jimmy G coming up here on the show, Search Eye, so just be patient on it because I know that there was a lot of fans again yesterday saying, hey, Raiders got to bench AOC, they got to put in Jimmy G, and I know that I've mentioned this topic of discussion multiple times on this show, and I get that not everybody can watch every single episode of the Raiders Report. We're busy, especially during the holidays, but I'm going to answer and talk about why the Raiders absolutely positively cannot put Jimmy Garoppolo in a game. I mean, it would be so ill-advised. If Jimmy Garoppolo were to step foot out onto a field this season, and that's Antonio Pierce's decision, I would then look at the camera and say, Antonio Pierce should not be the Raiders head coach in 2024 because he's not making rash decisions. Let's go to James Guevara. Give AP and Champ on a 3-year contract. Also, James, you're in our 50-50 raffle. Not one, but 2 entries. So right now we got 5 people in, which means you'd have a chance to win $25, $10 Venmo for a shot to get in. But give AP and Champ on a 3-year contract, draft the QB, let him and O'Connell battle for the QB1 role. We desperately need an OC. Got to go back to the Bo got to go back to the QB room. I mean, I'm going to be really curious to see what happens to that Raiders offensive coaching slate because there's no way that you can move on from anybody from the defensive side of the football, which doesn't surprise me because I think they have a lot better coaching staff where McDaniels, brought in a lot of his guys. And if Bo wants to be the quarterback coach and go back to being the QB coach, I'm with you. He cannot be an offensive coordinator. He's been able to prove that he has no business being the OC. I do like the idea of you trying to bring in a QB and have a battle, but we also got to get it straight. If you draft a Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, or a Drake May, the amount of draft capital that you're going to have to give up to get one of those guys, which right now the Raiders pick at number 13. If you wanted to go 13-3, you're giving up 3 first-round picks and a player like a Devontae Adams for you to be able to go up from 12 up to 3 to get one of those quarterbacks. And if you end up doing that, that's your guy, right? I think where the competition starts to come in is if it's a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix, a name like that being thrown out there where then, yes, they would have J.J. McCarthy. They would battle it out with Aidan O'Connell. FKC for life. James, you're my guy, man. It was a hell of a day yesterday, man. RN4SL SMB said probably worth it, though. If you told me right now to trade 3 first-round picks, this might be an unpopular opinion, and Devontae Adams, and I could get Drake May or Caleb Williams, I would do it. Like, it sounds insane, but the more and more I watch this Raiders team, to me, the more and more I think if you get a quarterback like that and you pair it with the defense that we have right now, that's a Super Bowl caliber team. And I don't think that's that outlandish to say. I mean, Devontae's a hell of a receiver, don't get it twisted. But you were able to win a game yesterday without Josh Jacobs in a game where Devontae had 4 receiving yards, and you beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a game where your quarterback didn't complete a pass in the second, third, or fourth quarter. I mean, this team is built to win now on the defensive side of the football. You just need to go out there and find a quarterback. Let's go to Jagger. How long of a live show will you do if the Raiders get the bum 1 seed? Get the number 1 seed. I mean, it's impossible.
Huh?
It's impossible to get the number 1 seed in the playoff picture.
I don't know. I think
number
he
1
was talking
pick?
about the number 1 pick.
If the Raiders got the number 1 pick, 12-hour live. Let's do it. If the Raiders trade for the number 1 overall pick, we'll be live around 12 hours. A little bit less than 12 because I want it to be able to get saved.
10 hours of mock.
10 hours. We do a mock every freaking hour.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I'm in. All right. Well, 10-hour live if the Raiders trade up to number 1. Even if the Raiders trade up to, like, top 3, I think it would be interesting. Top 3, franchise QB. It's the Dro. Under any circumstances, do not play Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't want him to get hurt and have to pay him next year. You're right, and I'll get into more of the contract details around Jimmy G, but this is the exact reason why you can't put him on the field. Like, and this is an honest question to everybody who's watching the show right now, so give me a Y for yes, give me an N for no. If you were going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, would you put your job on the line to have Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback next season? Like, and some of y'all are probably going to say no to that, which is the correct answer. So then what? You're going to have Jimmy G as your backup making $28 million? Good luck with that. Like, if I'm betting my job, there's a 0% chance Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the roster because you can cut him, you can save some money. Yes, you're going to eat some, but if he's on that team or if he ends up getting hurt in these final 2 weeks, that's $28 million out the window that you can't invest anywhere.
Joseph said, bro, Aidan is good and it's his first year. Come on, dude. The thing is, he's not good. I don't understand how anybody, after watching Aidan O'Connell for this entire season, can even think that he's good. It blows my mind, and I get it. He's your quarterback. He's the guy, right? I feel like I go right back to the Derek Carr conversation, where Derek's not elite. Derek is a very average QB in the NFL. Now you're looking at Aidan O'Connell. Aidan's lucky the Raiders have a top 10 defense. If the Raiders had a mid to below average defense, the Raiders lose that game yesterday probably 35-3.
If the Raiders have not a top 5 defense right now, I think Aidan as a starter has maybe 2 wins. I mean, I don't see how anybody got to have any confidence in Aidan O'Connell right now.
You scored twice yesterday, both on defense.
Correct. It's insane. And it's just the amount of stops that this defense has been able to generate over and over and over again. Let's go to Mount Raider more. Patrick B. I think Bo has called good games since going upstairs. The execution was not there, but the play calling has been good. I mean, the play calling in the game against the Chargers was hands down the best. And even yesterday, though, I didn't love some of the play calling that Bo was unfortunately going with. Like, yeah, in the first quarter, I thought the offense did an okay job. I will say that Bo got the short end of the stick yesterday. Devontae had 2 bad drops, and Aidan he was bad yet again yesterday. So it's not 100% fair to Bo. But I've also seen Bo not put Aidan in the right opportunities to succeed, or not even like running the football when you should have. I mean, there was times at the game yesterday where I couldn't believe that they wouldn't continue to run the football with Zamite White, who was clearly the best option there, and the offensive line was doing their thing, and you just put way, way too much trust in Aidan. Like, the reason why I don't like Bo, and it's the reason why I didn't like McDaniels, is because they run their offense the way that they did when Tom Brady was the quarterback. Newsflash, nobody's Tom Brady. Jeremy and Mitch, unleash Hunter Renfrow versus the Colts. Why? Hunter stinks, guys. I mean, Hunter can't get open. There's a reason why he's only getting 11 snaps per game. He's got a fumbling issue. Hunter Renfrow, it reminds me of when Derek Carr got injured back in 2016. He was never the same guy. Since the concussions last season with Renfrow, he hasn't been the same guy. Like, and that's not even McDaniels wasn't using him thing. Even when the Raiders have used him this season, he hasn't been good. He's not getting open. He's dropped the football. He's put the ball on the ground. It's why I am telling you it would be ill-advised for the Raiders not to cut Hunter Renfrow next year. Obviously, you're going to try to trade him. Nobody's going to trade for him with that contract. But if you can't trade him, you're going to cut him, designate him post-June 1st, and then you're going to save over, it's like $11.8 million. Like, Hunter Renfrow has not been good. Shane Gamble, what's up, man? I agree AOC is not the future. However, if we make the playoffs or not, we need to make a move for Daniels. I don't care if we trade 5 first-round picks.
Is that too much for you to get Jaden Daniels?
I mean, if you make the playoffs, you're picking in the 20s. For you to go 20 to get to
3?
I mean, you'd probably have to get to a pick number 3 at that point, right? It doesn't make sense to trade 5 first-round picks to get to number 4 and not get your guy. So because of that, there's 3 quarterbacks you would trade up. I actually don't think for you to go from 20 to number 3, 5 first-round picks, I actually don't think that that's enough. If you look at the NFL trade value chart, I'm telling you right now, it looks more close like 5 firsts. It's like a second, a third, and probably a player that you guys consider good. Not a Devontae Adams level dude, but like a Jacoby Myers or something like that. I mean, the way teams value draft picks, and in this year's draft, it would cost so much. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think this is more likely, which some of y'all don't like, but it's more likely if the Raiders make the playoffs, you trade a pick for Justin Fields instead of giving up 5 for a Jaden Daniels. I mean, I think the more and more the Raiders win, the more and more there is a chance that Justin Fields is the Raiders quarterback next season. He's got so many ties with Champ Kelly. I agree AOC and Bo is holding us back from averaging 28 points. You must extend Koonce. I pray we can keep Patrick Graham, but I'll have happy tears if he gets head coaching job. FKC, the crybabies. The refs tried everything to help KC get the win. Ronnie, I hear you, my guy. We'll talk about Malcolm Koonce today. We'll talk about Patrick Graham. And yeah, man, that officiating staff did everything in their power to help keep them in the game. Jarrett Watson, would you rather trade for Fields or draft another rookie that we start day one? I mean, I've actually already talked about this a few times on the show. I put out quarterback rankings, and I'll probably have to do it again. But if it was up to me, this is based on my rankings, it's Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, trade for Justin Fields, and then it would be like a draft of Bo Nix, or I think actually it's Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy. So that's kind of my split. Actually, yeah, if you want to show it, perfect. So I got the graphic here. Shout out to Chugs. This is how I would do it if I was either going to draft a quarterback or trade for Justin Fields. I would take Fields after the top 3, but I would rather trade for Fields, give up a second-round pick instead of drafting a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix. I think Fields is a better overall QB than those guys that you see on the right-hand side of your screen. Let's go to Search High. Jeremy and Mitch, I'm not woke. I wouldn't have minded Max Crosby singing Chief Keef, don't like, but the salute to him for censoring himself. I saw the song, that's that shit I don't like. Like, he was having a good time. To be honest, I don't know exactly what you're trying to say here. You're not woke. The way I look at anything that happens in a locker room after a win, unless you make just like an outlandish statement, they just won a major game on Christmas Day. Let players have emotion. That's one thing that's missing in sports today. Let players have emotion. If you want to dunk on a goalpost, go ahead. If you want to bat flip, go ahead. If you throw down and you want to hold your nuts next to a player, go ahead. It's entertainment. It's entertainment. Let's go to Nico. Going to start calling him Aidan O'Connell because he moves about as fast as Rosie O'Donnell in the pocket. Guy is a statue. I mean, he makes Derek Carr look mobile. I think that's probably the best way that I can put it. He makes Derek Carr look mobile. Will Aidan get better as time goes on? Yeah, he probably will. He probably will get better as time goes on. But how could you, after watching football, for Raiders football, let's say, since Antonio Pierce has taken over, I don't tell anybody with a rational brain could possibly want Aidan O'Connell to be the Raiders quarterback next season. So, coming up here live on the show, let's get into some of the latest Raiders news and rumors. And remember, if you want a chance to get in our 50-50 raffle, it is a $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Raiders Sancho, you in.
But before we get started,
I'm
Mitch,
listening.
We're 12 likes away from 300.
All right. Wesley Temple in.
We're 12 likes away from 300. Who's going to be the one to get us there so we can start the live show?
RFL, double entry in.
I've seen Queen Sarah Auto telling you all to like the video. 1,000 people watching, only 300 likes?
Jamari
we can do better than
Murray
that.
in.
Those are some Chiefs numbers there.
Yeah, those are some Chiefs numbers.
I would expect that from Chiefs fans. But I hold Raider Nation to a higher standard. I hold them to the highest of high standards.
Brian Folsom in twice. So right now it would be a $10 Venmo for a chance to win $55. $10 Venmo for a chance to win $55 here on the Raiders Report. All right, we got a lot of rumors to get into. Today is going to be a very, very heavy of a just win baby type of day. So if you are an old school Raiders Report watcher and you watch the old shows with all the Chucky heads, you're going to love today's episode because it is nothing but just win babies. And I don't got one segment. I don't got two segments, but we got 3 segments. And it's going to be a lot of news and rumors, a lot of discussion around the quarterback, Antonio Pierce, what the Raiders are going to do this season and what the Raiders could potentially do next season as well. It's going to be a fun show. If you guys are ready, click that like button. We just hit 420 likes, so I think that's a high enough number. Chugs, you ready?
Glug.
Coming up, the latest news and rumors. Let's talk a little bit about Antonio Pierce. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show is Antonio Pierce, the Raiders head coach in 2024. I'll give you my answer. Will Aidan O'Connell be the Raiders quarterback next season? And then Zamite White, is he going to be the main back in Vegas? All of these answers coming up on today's show. I mean, I haven't been this happy in such a long time after the Raiders took down the Kansas City Chiefs 20-14 on Christmas Day in a game that Aidan didn't complete a ball the final 3 quarters, in a game that Josh Jacobs was unable to go, again, a game that Colton Miller was unable to start because he couldn't play because he was at left tackle, in a game that Michael Mayer was unable to go at the tight end position. I mean, this was a game that the Raiders lose time and time again, but this team just feels a little bit different. So if you believe in this team, if you believe in Antonio Pierce, if you're proud to rock silver and black after the holidays, going into work today, man, I felt as happy as I have been in a long time. I even said this, as happy as what I was when the Raiders fired McDaniels, I'm like equally as happy today. It's a different kind of happiness because that I felt like we were moving on from something terrible. This, I feel like we're trending in the right direction. And if you have that exact same feeling, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about, hit that subscribe button because we're going to have a lot of fun this week. So let's now get into Overreaction Tuesday, where essentially I take the top 3 trending topics around the Raiders and Chiefs game, and I get into them a little bit. I give you guys my honest opinion, and it's Overreaction Tuesday for a reason. So, is Antonio Pierce the Raiders head coach in 2024? This one's not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 just win babies. Believe it, baby. I'm telling you right now, Mark Davis, go get the contract. Go sign Antonio Pierce's name because this will be the Raiders head coach next season. The man has earned the job. To me, the number one thing that I would have put on my resume, can you beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Because the only thing that realistically fans, when they talk about, well, how can you hire Antonio Pierce if you didn't hire Rich Bisaccia after Bisaccia went 7-5? Pierce right now is 4-3. My answer to that, Rich Bisaccia got blown out against the Chiefs 48-9. Antonio Pierce showed that he could beat him. But not only that, he is winning despite Josh McDaniels' offense still being an absolute disaster. If you get this guy a franchise quarterback and an offensive coordinator, the Raiders have a Super Bowl caliber team because of how well their defense is playing. On top of that, players want AP back. I know multiple players have gone to Mark Davis. There was a private dinner with Mark Davis, and I'll call them the most influential Raiders players, and all of those guys said, I want Antonio Pierce to be the head coach. They want to have some continuity, and right now this team is just as close of a team, if not closer, than what it was when Bisaccia took over. I'm telling you. So yes, last week, I said if the Raiders beat Kansas City, Antonio Pierce going to be the head coach. Champ Kelly going to be the general manager. Here is my best guess. This is the best educated guess that I could give you on what the Raiders staff is going to look like. At head coach, it's going to be Antonio Pierce. At GM, it's Champ Kelly. You know that I'm a big believer in where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is so much smoke around Trey Brown joining this team as a new executive of some sorts, being the right-hand man to Pierce and Kelly and helping out essentially with a lot of the player personnel decisions that come with the draft. That's there. Patrick Graham at DC. The OC is the only TBD. What the Raiders need to do, Antonio Pierce, Champ Kelly, Trey Brown, they all need to sit down in the room and say, out of the quarterbacks available, who's your favorite one? You make a list of your top 3 quarterbacks, what it takes in order for you to be able to get that QB. And then you bring in the OC that matches those skill sets. It's not going to be an easy job, but that's what a good head coach is going to have to do. So let me know down in the comment section. In fact, this will be the pinned comment, so this is the number one question that I want the nation to answer. Do you want Antonio Pierce to be the Raiders head coach next season? Yes? No? My answer, right after this YouTube ad break. Duh. If you haven't gotten a hold of the fact that I want Antonio Pierce back, then you haven't been following me on social media, you haven't been watching this show, and you probably don't really listen to the nation all that much. Antonio Pierce not only is a Raider, and I mean everything that a Raider is, right? That's the guy. He's earned the job in my book. You add 2 and 2 together, and you got yourself a hell of a coach. AP, anytime you want to come here on the Raiders Report, Coach, I'm down. Also, I saw Snoop Dogg called Antonio Pierce coach. So, confirmed, Snoop Dogg. Shout out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. And I don't know if Snoop's going to be blazing up over here on PrizePicks, but we do got some hot deals. And if you want to get started, it is daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. It's easy. It's exciting daily fantasy sports. And on Christmas Day, I mean, you could have put down some money, had a chance to win a little bit. They had Picksmas, which no longer is running at this current moment. However, PrizePicks does awesome deals for basketball. If you're a fan of hockey, they do it for hockey. If you want to know my Thursday night football picks, here they are. A lot of mores. Joe Flacco. I mean, there's a lot of good deals in this game. Joe Flacco's been red hot. Give me the more on the passing yards in that one. Mari Cooper just went for 265, and now it's 55.5. Give me the more on that. Garrett Wilson has been the only option in that Jets offense. In fact, he has the highest overall receiving share of any one wide receiver in the National Football League on their team. So give me the more on that. And then Greg Zerloin, 2 field goals. I'm going lots and lots of mores. And if you don't already know, Jeremy and I, we will be live for this game. So if you're just like me and you're like, you know what, Mitch, while I'm watching other games outside of the Raiders or while I'm watching the Raiders game, put $10 down, put $20 down. Shit, sometimes you have a chance to win $150, $160 for 3 hours of entertainment at $10, $20. It's literally a can't-lose situation. So shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring the Raiders Report. And if you want to be able to find that link that you see on screen, you can also find it down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. Let's go to the next one here. Antonio Pierce going to be the head coach 2024. Book it. What about Aidan O'Connell then? Is he going to be the Raiders quarterback next season? The opposite of 4 just win babies is 0 of them. Tuck rule, tuck that. I am telling you, Aidan O'Connell will not be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024. And if Antonio Pierce took the podium today, right now, after me just saying 4 just win babies, and he said Aidan O'Connell is going to be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024, I would sit up here and say Antonio Pierce shouldn't be the Raiders head coach because he's not making smart decisions. The Raiders are winning despite Aidan. The Raiders are winning despite Bo Hardigree. The Raiders are winning despite this offense still running a Josh McDaniel style of offense, and it kind of just speaks volumes of how great Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham have been on the defensive side of the football. But, I mean, Aidan has proved multiple times, and there's nothing wrong with being a backup quarterback in the NFL. Like, this season has proved it to a lot of NFL fans out there. When you think about what an actual starting quarterback looks like, and then you just see the guy that has to come in because the starter goes down, or the guy's got to come in because your old head coach decided to bring in Brian Hoyer and Jimmy Garoppolo, who are pitiful. Like, sometimes that's going to happen. But I have seen time and time again that Aidan is nothing but a backup QB in the NFL, and sometimes that can be a successful career. Like, Brian Hoyer's been in the league for 15 seasons. I could see Aidan having a 10 to 12-year NFL career being a backup QB. But the new head coach gets to pick a new QB. Why would you want to roll with a guy that is obviously a statue in the pocket, has 0 mobility, has not been able to see the field all that well, and is loaded with talent on the offensive side of the football? Yes, I get it. It's not fair to Aidan that he's running a Josh McDaniel system. I understand that. But if I'm going to be a new head coach and I'm going to bet my livelihood, my career, the way that I put food on my table, a roof over my head, I'm not betting on Aidan O'Connell. I'm going to go out and find a quarterback in the draft, or you're going to go out and trade for one. That's what the Raiders should do. But here's my question to the nation, because I know how loyal y'all are. I mean, this literally takes me back to the Derek Carr conversation. Derek Carr is not an elite quarterback. He's a good one. He's not a guy that you should pay a lot of money. He's a game manager. Here's the thing. Aidan, you're hoping. Every Raider fan out there is hoping that you get the 2017 to 2022 version of Derek Carr when looking at Aidan O'Connell. I don't want to go back to there. As much as I love and respect Aidan, he's going to be the backup QB next season. He's still probably going to be in somewhat of a quarterback battle, which is what the Raiders should do. But at the end of the day, if this is your starting quarterback, you're just wasting everybody's time. So do I want Aidan to be the quarterback next season? No. No, I do not. When you look at Aidan's numbers, because a lot of times people just look at the overall numbers instead of looking at the total picture, right? Aidan O'Connell's numbers, minus the Week 15 game, okay? Minus Week 15 against the Chargers, where the Raiders dropped 63 points. In that game, Aidan had 4 touchdowns. In his other 7 starts, 61.0% completion percentage, 1,352 yards, so less than 200 passing yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. This also is not counting his 3 additional fumbles. So, like, you're talking about a 1-to-3 ratio for touchdowns to turnovers. Like, I get it. He's a rookie. He's going to have his lumps. But I'm not going to roll with Aidan O'Connell next season. And I know that I'm going to get asked, well, who are you going to go with then? To me, there's one answer, right? Like, I'm going to look in the draft. The problem is, right now at the time that I'm making this video, the Raiders are picking at number 13. If you want to get a Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, or Drake May based off of just previous years and based off of the NFL trade value chart, the only way that you're getting a Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and again, you got to remember the 49ers, they traded 3 first-round picks to go up to number 3 from 12 to 3. This year, it's going to cost even more because of the quarterbacks that you see on screen. Like, to me, if the Raiders wanted to go from 13 and get up to number 3 right now, you're giving up 3 first-round picks and you're giving up Devontae Adams. That's a lot. So if you're like, Mitch, I don't want to give up that much. Well, then you trade for a guy like Justin Fields. Maybe you give up a second. Maybe you give up a third-round pick. What you see on screen right now is me saying that if I have the opportunity to get a Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, I want to do it. If I don't have that ability, I'd rather trade for Justin Fields. And if I can't get Justin Fields at a reasonable offer, well, then I would rather just try to draft a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix, a J.J. McCarthy. Not in round 1. I ain't drafting Bo, Michael, J.J. in round 1. In fact, I'm probably going to look at those QBs more in like the 3rd round range. If they're there, great. If they're not there, well, then I may have missed my chance. But I know this. I would rather trade for Justin Fields and go out for one of those other quarterbacks. Raiders are going to be in an interesting situation. If you don't like the trade for Justin Fields thing, multiple players are okay with that on the Raiders. And Champ Kelly was a part of the regime in Chicago that drafted Justin Fields. I'm telling you, the Justin Fields name is growing and growing in that Raiders locker room. Now, before we get into the final rumor here, we got a programming schedule update. Chugs and I will be live on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you're tuned in for a little Jets-Browns. We will be rooting on the New York Jets to take down Cleveland. And then we're going to be live on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Raiders-Colts game. I know it says noon. If anything, it's noon our time. So 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, we will be live for a little Raiders-Colts action. Noon? Is it noon? I don't think so. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, you're right. We're going to be live at noon because we'll be live at 11. Yep, that's on me. See? I'm already out of sorts here. Those are when we're going to be live here on the show. I was thinking of when the actual time is. All right, Jeremy. Take an L. Throw tomatoes at me. Tomato, tomato, tomato. Let's get to the final rumor here on today's show. I can't Marion Reedus. Zamite White, the main running back in 2024. Shout out to my guy, Marion, rocking his jersey today on the show. Will White be the main running back in 2024? I'm going to give this one 2 just win babies, and I'm going to say that there's a 50-50 chance. People are talking, and I got to give Zamir his flowers, right? I mean, I have said Zamir is bad. I have said Zamir's not a good running back. I said that he's a waste of talent. Those are all things that I know for a fact that I have said. But when a player steps up, I am never afraid to say that I was wrong. And right now, Zamite White is proving that maybe he is a lot better. And, you know, I kind of kick myself in the butt a little bit for the simple fact of I am a big believer that sometimes players need reps, right? Like, it's just like anything that you do in life. And Zamir at times would come in here and there and really couldn't quite get it going, never could really get the hot hand. And as that game went on yesterday against Kansas City, the longer and longer that game went on, the better and better he was. He was running with better vision. He was breaking tackles. He was lowering his shoulder. I mean, that's the Zamite White that I was hoping for compared to the Zamir that looked afraid to fumble, that would just put his head down and run into the back of blockers. I mean, he had a hell of a football game. 22 carries for 145 yards and essentially closed the game out. The other reason why I'm putting this up here, though, is because Jacobs is going to be a free agent in 2024 due to the fact that Zamir has ran the well as what he has. If you're that new regime, you got to be looking and saying, all right, I think I'm actually pretty confident in Zamir to be able to handle some carries next season. But also on top of that, you know, the reason why it's up there for discussion is because Zeus was drafted by McDaniels and Ziegler, so there's no real connection to Antonio Pierce. But what I know is this. The team likes Zamir a lot. He's a hard-working dude who puts in time and effort. I'm telling you that. But because he had a game where he has started, and in the 2 games that he has started with Jacobs out, to me, he's looked like a totally different running back that has gotten better the more and more touches he's gotten. All I know is this. My confidence level in Zamir has drastically grown, so now I got to hear it from you. What is your confidence level in Zamite White? And the way that I want you to think about this question is more based off of, if I told you right now, Josh Jacobs is going to miss the game against Indy, Zamir's going to get another start, where are you sitting? How confident are you in Zamite White? Are you more confident than like 100% Zamir is better than a 70% Josh Jacobs? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, you're not confident at all. 10, you have no doubt that Zamite White is just as good as Josh Jacobs. My confidence level as it stands right now in Zamir is at a 7. Sometimes you got to pay respect when respect's due, and Zamir ran and had a hell of a football game. I will say that the offensive line is not getting nearly enough respect for what they did yesterday. I mean, they were open to the polls left and right. I talked to Jermaine Illuminor this morning. He said that he was really, really close to having a season-ending injury. He's expecting that he's going to be okay to go. You got Colton Miller playing through a shoulder injury where they didn't even know if he was going to be able to play. The offensive line had themselves a hell of a game, but to me, I am at a 7. I teeter on 6 to 7. Like, I know Zamir can get it going. He showed yesterday. But what I really want to see is when things get tough, how does Zamir respond? Because basically from the jump yesterday, I thought they ran the ball pretty effectively with Zeus. However, with that being said, the Raiders still have to either draft a running back or you got to sign a cheap one in free agency in 2024. It's another reason why I know I've said multiple times that I just don't see Josh Jacobs coming back next season. I don't think it makes any sense for the new regime, current regime, to bring Josh Jacobs back unless he were to come back on a very, very cheap deal. So the fact that I have some confidence in Zamir is like, all right, if you have, let's say, 400 total touches that you got to give to the running back position, which even that is kind of a lot, I'm okay giving 200 of that to Zamite White, but then I'm going to look in the draft, and I'm going to look at some running backs. Like if I were to look at the top 10 running backs based off of what I have right now, and these aren't ranked, but you can kind of see which ones I like more. I started with my list on the left. They're not ranked 1 to 10, but this is just a top 10 list. Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Blake Corum. I honestly think any 3 of those running backs are better than Zamite White right now. Then you could potentially look at a Travion Henderson, a Donovan Edwards, Bucky Irving. I think it would be a really good 1-2 type of duo. Or you could look at the later rounds of maybe a Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis I got in my latest mock draft in round 5. Will Shipley, hey, probably not going to be on Rashard Mendenhall's team, but I'd be okay with him being on my team. And then Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, another decent running back that you could find a little bit later. If you, for whatever reason, okay, don't want to have to draft a running back, this graphic is more just to show you that there are a lot of talented backs out there on the free agent pool. Like, yes, Jacobs is out there. It's Pollard. Austin Eckler, to me, is a very intriguing option. The running back that I think might be the cheapest on here, Gus Edwards, and he's got double-digit touchdowns this season. I think A.J. Dillon would be a phenomenal fit in any offense that he's on because of his ability to be able to run between the tackles. Yes, you already have Zamite White, but for the Raiders, I'm not bringing back Amir Abdullah. I'm probably going to try to pair a running back like a DeAndre Swift who can also catch the football and pair that with Zamite White and go with more of a running back by committee. All right, y'all, so here are our Overreaction Tuesday topics after the Raiders stole Christmas from Kansas City. Antonio Pierce is going to be back as the Raiders head coach next season. Aidan O'Connell will not be the Raiders starting quarterback. And Zamite White, 50% chance that he could be the main back for Las Vegas. But before I go, I want all y'all right now to say congratulations to Justin Abgin. We've been promoting a December bang competition, and we decided yesterday that Justin got the dub. So, Justin, we're going to pay for a flight down to Dallas, probably going to be sometime in May this summer, for you to be able to come down here, hang out with Chugs. We'll get you on the Raiders Report for an episode. I'll text you to get a few of the details. But on top of that, we now have our 8th member, our newest member of Mount Raidermore. So anytime anybody sees Justin Abgin, pull up into the chat, treat him with respect the same way that you would a David Zahn, a Raider Ron, a Trivan, a Wild 114, a Patrick B., a John Borelli. Show them nothing but love, a Brandon Jasper. Justin, congratulations to you, and Merry, Merry Christmas to the entire nation. All right, what is this the best Christmas present you've ever received? Was this the best Christmas present you have ever received? Oh, boy. I'll tell you this, man. It's got to be up there. It's got to be up there. It was, the best part about yesterday's game was the way that I explained it to my dad, to my family, even to my mom. I was like, if the Raiders lose, Christmas just, it's not going to have the same oomph to it, right? Like, you can have an amazing Christmas morning. If the Raiders lose, the rest of my day is shot. For me, I had an amazing morning. The Raiders get the dub. I go home that night, and I was happy as could be, man. Like, yeah, I wish I would have had off today just because I haven't really had a day off after Christmas. I will have off tomorrow, so that's going to be something. You guys will still get a video, don't worry. But, like, Dude, yesterday was one of the happiest I was doing the show in a very long time. Getting up for work was a little bit easier today. What up, Nico? It's close. Top 5 from Ron Raspberry. David Ramiro says socks. I mean, socks are a pretty awesome gift. Hands down from Matthew Y. Top 5 from El Loco Uno. Next thing that I'm going to ask y'all, for everybody who's watching this live right now, should I put on a Ron Raspberry jersey? Why for yes and for no? Depending on how many votes we get, will determine whether or not I'm going to put on a Ron Raspberry jersey. So Lesbo says yes. Cloud says yes. Senior Steve, no. Matthew says yes. Sienna Colley is going to go with a yes. How about this? Ron's an OG watcher here, and I want to show him a little bit of love. So can we get some Y's down in the chat for Ron Raspberry? Chugs, when you can, I need to switch my jersey. Also, let me look to see if anybody else here is in our 50-50 race. Right now, as it stands, we have 11 people in our 50-50 raffle race. $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win some money. Right now, you'd win $55. So, Jeremy, I asked them if I should put on the Ron Raspberry jersey. Seeing a lot of yeses. Can you give a few shout-outs here? I don't know if you saw the Texans claim.
That's what I was just.
Oh, is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Kind of wild. Kind of wild. All right, let me go put on a jersey here real quick. Chugs, you got it.
All right, best Christmas present you've ever gotten. A lot of I'm guessing the yeses are for the Ron Raspberry. Okay. Best Christmas I think this is easily the best Christmas present I've ever gotten. It's the only Christmas present I've ever gotten, so it's probably the best. But no, yeah. It was so great calling my buddy who was a Chiefs fan, and just the amount of na boo boos that were thrown out yesterday was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I called 2 Chiefs fans that are my good buddies, and then I'm not gonna lie, I actually forgot. I called one of the bridesmaids in our wedding, and she played the I guess me screaming. Dude, it's kind of gnarly. I mean, that's just raw emotion though. Like that's just raw emotion right there.
Super raw.
What's up, Ron Raspberry? Let's go to Brandon Jasper. You know you want it, nation, and you need it. So join Locals. 4 the best content, personal interactions, and more live shows. Brandon, I appreciate your local shout out. However, Alex's family is all in town tomorrow, and I will not be able to go live on Locals. So due to the holidays, I'm not going to be live on Locals tomorrow. So for the Locals gang, I am very, very sorry. But because I had to work on Christmas and because I had to work today, we had to push a few things around. So we're doing the December 27th dinner type of the ordeal. But hopefully you guys can understand.
At the crib or?
Not at my crib. Right now we've been staying at Alex's sister's.
Ah.
And that's kind of where all the Christmas stuff has been happening. But yeah, I won't be available for Locals tomorrow. All right, let's look at, I just got a few people in our 50-50 raffle. I got Salvador Mena, you in? Salvador Mena, you in? Kim, in. Scott Eckert, in. Quack, quack, and did you see dog shit on Arrowhead? That's what Scott sent me. And then Chase Co, you in. So right now we got 15 people in. 15 in. What's up? Okay. 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 Sounds good. All good. All right, y'all. I got a question before we get into this next segment. And the next segment's going to be around extending 2 players. And we're also going to talk about the idea of could Patrick Graham leave this offseason. So I'm going to give you my answer on this question here. Jack Jones or Malcolm Koonce. Let's say you're sitting in the room right now with Antonio Pierce. You're sitting in the room right now with Champ Kelly. Hell, you're sitting down with Patrick Graham, and they look at you and they go, we only have the money. We only have the resources. I don't know why. To extend one of these players. Do you extend Malcolm Koonce or do you extend Jack Jones? Type 51 for Koonce. I want you to type 18 for Jack Jones. I mean, this is going to be interesting. Ron also says the jersey looks good. Ron, I agree with you, man. I think it's a really, really solid-looking jersey, my dude. And if anybody wants any questions on the show, remember, hashtag Raiders Super Chat. We'll do a job here and get them up here. I see Raider Man Shark Allen, Jack Jones. Raider Rob, 1969, is going to roll with Jones. Jack Jones is a beast from Siena. 51 from Dr. Waka Cheeseburger. Thomas says 51 all day. Just Mac here, 51. Manny Villegas, Malcolm Koonce. Raider Man, 18. I mean, I think that the Raiders need to do everything in their power to try to extend both of these players. But coming up on the show, I am going to tell you which one that if I had to make a priority, I would make a priority. So you guys will see that. Also, Mo Chavez, Ryan Campbell. Oh, boy, Ryan. All right, Ryan. Ryan, you're in, but once Jeremy gets back, I'll do that, Ryan. Ryan Campbell, in. Mo Chavez, in. Andy Arnold, in. And then Emmanuel Ruiz, you in. So right now we have 19 people in our Duck Race 50-50 raffle. $10 Venmo. We're going to do it at the very, very end of the show. Right now you would win $95. 10 to win 95. You all right? Oh. I was like, and Jeremy's back. Steve Jones, no Eric Bieniemy, no KC, and the Sunshine Band. Music to my ears. I don't know if you're saying, like, you don't want Eric Bieniemy because Eric Bieniemy will never coach the Raiders. That I can promise you. Also, Antonio Pierce, in terms of being the next Raiders head coach, said, my resume is on the grass. Hopefully, Mark Davis sees improvement and growth in our team. He sees the style of play he wants from the Raiders. I mean, I hope he gets it. But no, Eric Bieniemy's not there. He's not going to be the Raiders head coach. You don't ever have to worry about that. Jeremy, I'm going to send you something real quick here. If you could give me a second. And there you go. Oh, I know. No, not for the Duck Race. He just wants to, I think, bang a little bit here. And he said, best year of my life. Can't wait for next year. Raider Nation for life. Does anybody want to bang real quick? Is anybody in a banging mood right now? Does anybody want to bang? If you want to bang, spam bang down below. Can I get a few bangs down below? Because this one's rolling in from Ryan Campbell. Bang! Let's go, Ryan. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And yes, bang, false start, Rebel Montana, 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down. No, shout out to Ryan Campbell for banging on today's show. Nico Lass says, I love banging, Mitch. I think Ryan Campbell also loves banging me. In fact, I don't think there's anybody been banged more by Raider fans. Wasted's got to be up there. Wasted's got to be up there. We got 900 people here in the building. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. I mean, this is a Tuesday show, a celebration after probably the biggest Raiders win that I have ever covered since being here. The only other game that I'll put up there that was a bigger win was the Chargers game back in 2021 that put the Raiders in the playoffs. Besides that game, I can't think of a bigger game, a more monumental win. Ryan Campbell, Merry Christmas to you, my guy. Merry Christmas to you. Terry, what's up, dude? Hey, big boys. I'm still here forever and always. Let's bang. I mean, I'll tell you what, Terry. Anytime you got, what's it called? Plaid. Plaid is like an interesting look on. Some people can pull it off, Terry. Other people can't. I mean, I'm telling you this right now. If I saw Terry in a dark alley rocking plaid, I'd be like, well, I'm in trouble. Looks like we're banging. What up, Milo? What up, Taino? I see WZCO, Stoffel, the Badger. What's going on? Milo, Raider Gaines, Meredith. Coming up here next on the show, it is going to be sponsored by Panda Supps, and we're going to get into some more rumors here around the silver and black. We're going to talk about two players that I think the Raiders need to go out and extend, and we got to talk about it because I don't think it's actually being talked about nearly enough, and you know, we've mentioned it a few times, but I wanted to really make it a segment because it needs to be discussed, and it's going to be around the idea of us potentially not being able to keep Patrick Graham. What's up? Yeah. Yep. All right. So Jeremy had to step away for just a minute, so I got my brand new producer here. Everybody show some love to Sam.
F Sam.
If you want to get a few F Sams going in the chat, that's how I know you're a real one. But coming up, more Raiders rumors that I need to dive into and discuss. You ready? He's ready. Are you guys ready? Coming up right now, talk about extending two guys. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And today's show is presented by our good friends, Panda Supps. If you want to get your hands on their Panda pre-workout, use code Raiders. Usually, it's $54.99, but you can get your hands on it if you use code Raiders for only $26. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to talk about two players that the silver and black need to extend right now. Like, you got to do it right now. By the time you see this video, Mark, you better extend these two players right now. And then also a topic that, I'm sorry, it's not being talked about nearly enough. Is Patrick Graham going to end up leaving the Raiders? Not because he wants to, but if I'm an NFL team out there and I'm going to be hiring a new head coach, Patrick Graham deserves to get some run to be the next head coach of some NFL team. That's how good he has done this season for the Raiders. But if you're like me, man, walking into work after Christmas Day, watching the Raiders take down Kansas City, I am as happy and I am as proud of a Raider fan that maybe I have ever been while doing this show. That game against Kansas City, the only other game that I can say was just as big from a proud Raiders moment was when the Raiders beat the Chargers back in Week 18 in 2021, the Derek Carr timeout. If you have that exact same feeling, hit that subscribe button. People who I knew were excited on the morning of Christmas, or I guess not morning of Christmas, the day after Christmas, was the people in my Noti gang. These were the first 5 people to drop a comment and shit. I got Mount Raidermore and part of the Noti gang. If you want to get a shout out on the show, hit subscribe, turn on those notifications, and try to be one of the first 5 people that comment on a Raiders video. Shout out to Mario, my guy Zon, Urza, Lionel, and Sucka Free Raider. I salute you. All right, let's get into some rumors here after the Chiefs game, and the very first one is the Las Vegas Raiders need to extend Malcolm Koonce. Guess what? Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 just win babies. I made a segment last week about extension candidates, and I sit on this one yet again. The Raiders need to extend Malcolm Koonce. This guy has been an absolute monster for the silver and black. In fact, there was no player in the NFL that has more sacks than Koonce since Week 14. So in the last 3 games, Malcolm's 5 sacks leads the NFL. He's going to be a free agent in 2025. So some of you are like, well, Mitch, he's going to be on our team next season. Yeah, I get that. But you know what? Sometimes good NFL teams, smart NFL teams, extend a player that they know is going to have value before their contract runs out. If the Raiders do it now, they will save themselves money as time goes on. He's having a career season. He looks like he's really fully understanding the Patrick Graham system, and this is the first time in his NFL career that he's had multiple seasons in the exact same defense. My guy Graff was begging the Raiders to put him in the game. Well, guess what? He's getting in the game now. And he had himself a hell of a football game, and maybe one of my favorite pictures from the Raiders' win over the Chiefs on Christmas, which you can kind of see in the background here. But 6 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, Well, the other thing that, it's not really documented as much because, yes, his main job is to be able to get after the quarterback. Malcolm's also got light years better at being able to stop the run, setting the edge. He's done a much, much better job. And I almost look at this game as a little bit of a revenge game because if you guys remember last season, Malcolm got called for that phantom holding penalty on that Raider or on the Chiefs field goal. Do you remember that? Where they missed it, they get called for holding, and then ball goes back to Kansas City, and the Raiders end up losing the game. It was like 30-29. It was a hell of a bounce-back game for Malcolm after the last time he played in Arrowhead. To me, he is everything that you want in a building the right fundamental pieces for a Raiders team. So right now, I'm telling you, you extend Malcolm Koonce, you give him a brand new deal, 7 sacks, give him 2 years. In fact, the deal that I would stick with here with Malcolm would be a 2-year extension at $15 million with $12 million guaranteed. So to me, I look at those numbers. I think he's earned it. He might even get more if he were to hit the open market. So lock him in now at a little bit more of a reasonable price. If you're like Mitch, I couldn't agree with you more. Hit that like button. If you want Malcolm Koonce to get a contract extension, hit that like button right now. I know that some people might think it's outlandish to think that Mark Davis, people from the Raiders, watch this show. We get more views on this YouTube channel than the actual Raiders YouTube channel does. Why? Our show is built on the backs of the nation. So I want your voices to be heard. So if you want your voice to be heard, click that like button. Let's get Malcolm Koonce extended. Let's go to the next topic here on the Raiders Report, and it's around the extension of Jack Jones. This might surprise you, but I'll tell you whether or not I want the Raiders to extend Jack Jones. Before I give you my answer, I got to tell you about our sponsor, Panda Supps, and they, man, are really, really hooking up the nation. This is a very limited run, so make sure you get your orders in ASAP. This is Panda Supps' first pre-workout retailing for $34.99, but if you use code Raiders, you can actually get it for $26. And personally, the reason why they're doing this unbelievable deal is it's obviously still during the holidays. It's Panta pre-workout, but they want to say thank you to the nation out there, and it's only the pre-workout. Shout out to the nation for helping Panda Supps grow. They call themselves Panda Nation because the guy who owns it is a diehard Raider fan. But I always want people to try their products. And if you're like me, sometimes getting up in the morning for a workout, it's not easy. But you know what? I got those 2024 goals just like anybody else. And I want you all to get on the right track. And you take a scoop of this stuff, I'm telling you, you're going to be waking up. You're going to be locked into the gym. You're going to get a better overall workout. You're going to feel better about yourself overall. I know some of y'all are watching me right now saying, bro, you look like a raspberry. Well, in fact, I look like a Ron Raspberry. Shout out to him for this awesome jersey. All right, let's go to the next story here. And again, if anybody wants any of that stuff from Panda, link down in the comments, down in the description. The Raiders need to extend Jack Jones. I know what I said here with Malcolm, and my answer is the exact same thing here. However, there is a little bit of a caveat to this. I am so confident that the Raiders are going to make Antonio Pierce the head coach next season that I am willing to extend Jack Jones. Only if the Raiders are going to keep Antonio Pierce as the head coach, because every single other place that Jones has gone to that was not part of the Las Vegas Raiders, or was not part of Antonio Pierce, then he struggled, right? He was a former second-round pick. He's had some troubles, but he's known AP since he's been 13 years old. And I kind of laugh because when the Raiders signed Marcus Peters, to me, the role that Jack Jones is playing and the player that he has been for the Silver and Black is what a lot of Raider fans, and myself included, thought I was going to get when the Raiders signed Peters, right? I mean, this is another thing that's not being talked about nearly enough. Jack Jones stepping up to the plate and filling in for Peters. Like, one of the reasons why Antonio Pierce deserves to be another reason why, right, there's many, deserves to be the head coach is because I trust AP. And the reason why that you bring in a guy like Jack Jones, because you believe in AP, you believe in Patrick Graham. And Jones is playing some unbelievable football this season. I mean, against the Kansas City Chiefs this past week, 5 tackles, 1 pass breakup, an interception, and an interception that went for 6. I mean, the throw and the route, the read, everything he did, he baited Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know if I've ever seen anybody bait Mahomes the way that Jack Jones did yesterday, especially after a major, major turnover by Kansas City. This season for the Silver and Black, he's got 32 tackles. I shouldn't say this season for the Silver and Black. overall. 32 tackles, 2 INTs, 4 PBUs. And, my guy Tristan on Twitter, shout out to the OG Raider Scout, this is since joining the Raiders in Week 11. 239 snaps, 20 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 INTs, 4 PBs, 2 touchdowns, 18 targets, 11 receptions allowed, 78 yards allowed, a quarterback rating allowed of 31.5. Maybe the best insult that I've ever seen anybody give, where he called somebody a lollipop. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on my Twitter, @MitchellRenz365. But if you haven't seen the video of apparently Jack Jones pulling a football away from a Chiefs fan, a kid, he actually explained it on Twitter a little bit more in depth, that he was trying to hand it to the kid, but you can actually see there's a grown man that comes in the background and tries to steal it from him. That's why he pulled the football away from a kid. So not only is he putting up these type of stats, he's got a swagger right now. He was talking about, last week, if you stop Mahomes the magician, you put an end to the show. One of the things that I think about being a Raider is if you're going to walk the walk, or if you're going to talk the talk, you better, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. I butchered that, man. I feel like a lollipop right now. But, that's what Jack Jones is able to do. So the extension offer that I would give him is a 2-year, $8 million deal with $6 million guaranteed. And you're going to see, again, I'm tying in a lot of these 2-year type of contract extensions. And with Jones, it would essentially just be a 2-year brand new deal is probably the better way that I should put that. But, I want to tie guys in for 2 to 3 years because that's how long Max Crosby's locked in, and that's overall what I think that the Raiders should do with these 2 players here. So here's my question, okay? Let's say you can only give that type of deal to Malcolm Koonce or Jack Jones. And I don't really want you to focus on the overall contract value. It's more based on you can only extend one. Who's the bigger priority for the Raiders right now? Is it Malcolm Koonce? Type 51. Is it Jack Jones? I want you to type 18. Now, I'll give you my answer. And I know there's a lot of people right now watching us live right now, and I see my guy Venom. What's up? If you're not watching this live, make sure you tune in. We'll talk about this a little bit more, and you should always tune into our live Tuesday shows, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. But to me, the player, if you're going to extend one, if it's between Malcolm Koonce and Jack Jones, I love me some Jack Jones. That was the man, that was the Grinch that stole Christmas. But Malcolm Koonce, to me, has to be the bigger priority based off the position. The reason why, and I'm not trying to take anything away here from Jack Jones. I'm not trying to take away anything from Marcus Epps, Trevon Merrick, Amik Robertson. These guys have been playing solid football this season. But go figure, when the Raiders are finally able to get pressure on a quarterback with Max Crosby, with Tyree Wilson playing on the interior. Dude, Adam Butler was an absolute dog yesterday. Bilal Nichols has finally stepped it up at DT. But the unsung hero of this Raiders defensive line, it's Malcolm Koonce. That's why this Raiders defense is playing well. They're able to bring 3 or 4, and they're getting pressure. I love me some Jack Jones. But based on position, I think Malcolm Koonce is a higher priority than number 18. We'll get into the final story here on the show, which is around Patrick Graham and whether or not he's going to be staying with the Raiders next season. Before I get into that, though, our programming schedule, Chugs and I, we're going to be live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday to cover a little Thursday night football, so be in tune for that. And then we're going to be live on Sunday at noon Eastern Time as well. We're going to start an hour before. We're going to get the Oakland tailgate started. So please tune in to both of these shows here on the Raiders Report. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are. Let's go to the final story here on the Raiders Report. Patrick Graham leaving the Las Vegas Raiders. If you think that this is a 0% chance, then you're not watching what Patrick Graham is doing for the Silver and Black. This one's got to be one just win, baby, and I just don't want to say that it's impossible that Graham leaves, and nobody wants Patrick Graham to leave. I mean, this is the best Raiders defense. And how long? Honest to God question. I mean, this is the best defense in the NFL right now, if it's up to me. If you ask me what defense do I have the most confidence in the NFL, I think it'd be hard to go away from the Raiders. Yeah, you might be able to throw out the 49ers, maybe the Baltimore Ravens, but you're talking about 2 of the best teams in the National Football League right now. And Graham deserves to win Coordinator of the Year. If he wins Coordinator of the Year, he's going to get interviews for other head coaching openings. I'm not saying that he's going to get the job. And, also, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I don't like the Rooney Rule. I understand the Rooney Rule, but I don't want somebody to just give Patrick Graham an interview just because he's a black head coach. Like, no, you should give Patrick Graham an interview because he's a damn good head coach. So, on top of that, I know there's going to be an NFL team, though, that looks at Patrick Graham and they go, we can interview him and we can use him as the Rooney Rule. And because of that, he's going to get an opportunity to potentially be a head coach in the National Football League. So because of that, like, I would be unbelievably happy for Patrick Graham, his family, and all that if he were to get a head coaching gig, because the way he's done it this year, he should get some interviews. He absolutely should get some interviews. But let's not get it twisted, man. I do not want Patrick Graham to go anywhere because with him at the helm, this defense is elite. And when the Raiders hired Graham, I told y'all, like, I love what this guy's going to be able to bring to the table. I tried to really pump the brakes last season because when the season ended last year, there was a whole bunch of Raider fans that wanted to move on from Patrick Graham. And I stood up here on the show multiple times and I said, this guy is a hell of a coach. And you're finally seeing him now in year 2 with a defense that he kind of has some control over. But with Antonio Pierce, the head coach, and Patrick Graham's defense, right now this team is allowing 14.9 points per game. If you had yourself a franchise quarterback, man, oh man, I would love to see what this team's able to do. So here, one more time, quick little wrap-up here. Malcolm Koonce, Jack Jones, both deserve a contract extension. However, the bigger priority to me would be Malcolm. And then Patrick Graham leaving the Raiders. It's not impossible, but it's only because of how great of a job he's done. He's going to get interviewed for a head coaching gig. I just hope that he ends up coming back to the silver and black. All right, y'all, I asked you this question. If you could only extend one, Malcolm Koonce, type 51, Jack Jones, type 18. Let me know one more time here. I'm going to give some shout-outs. Also, I see that we got a super chat from Brian, and I got a super chat from Paige Davis, so I do want to get to those as well. I see Jaron says 18. Vincenzo, 51. Juice, 51. Abel Beloso, what's up, Abel? Says 51. Buzz-O-Matic, 18. OG Bloodstain's going to go 51. Fat Bearded Dad, Malcolm Koonce. Jack Ramirez, Jack Jones, because you got the same name. Let's go to a super chat from Brian. Hey, Mitch and Chugs, thanks for the card. I know I just got my holiday cards out the other day. We did this earlier. So, Brian, hopefully you liked it. Yesterday we also did something where people had a chance to get a holiday card, but I'm glad that you got it. I'm a little bit upset that it came the day after Christmas, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Chugs and I made a holiday card, but Merry Christmas, Brian, to you and your family. Let's go to Paige Davis, who's always balling out here. What's up, Raider Nation? I'm off work all week, so I have a chance to hang with you guys today. Great win yesterday. Paige! Everybody show some love to Paige Davis down below. Paige, I'm glad you get to hang out with us today. I was showing people yesterday the picture of you and your pops, which awesome picture. I love the fact that number 63 is in the background, and you sent that picture the night that the Raiders dropped 63. I just feel like that's like some Simpsons Super Bowl shit. You know what I'm talking about? But there's 1,000 people tuned in right now to the show, and if you haven't already, hit that like button. Queen Sarah Otto and Paige Davis, they're going to come find you, and I don't know if I want that for you. All right, y'all, if you want a chance to get in our 50-50 raffle, $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz, 365. As it stands right now, we have 19 people in this race, and I want to double check here to see who's in because we actually have a few extra entries. Andy Arnold, you were in. Zach Martin, you in. I also see William Hugo in. Anthony Sultan in. Marty Solaraz. Ano, wow, that's a hell of a last name, in. And then I got my man Robert Boone, in. So as it stands right now, we have 24 people in, which means winner would get $120. So $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. Sam, if you could, can you just hop on screen real quick? I actually have to change my jersey. I try to switch jerseys as often as I can. Even if it says Chugs, you'll only be on for a little bit. So, hey, it's not exactly Chugs, but it's close.
You know, the people, I think, will hopefully survive for 60 seconds. I just put FSM. We're just going to make it easy for ourselves. I'm actually curious. It's been a minute since I've been in here, so I figured you'd have the whole clothing rack on today.
No, not today.
Disappointing. $10 Venmo, get in on the raffle, get in on the race. I always like to show, I wish this was loaded because I was like showing the race beforehand, showing all this like 25 Santas or whatever it is. But $120, that's the pot.
Right now, the pot is $120, correct.
I mean, that's
pretty good.
That'll put dinner on the table for a week.
You think?
See, now I'm actually officially Jeremy Chugs.
Congrats.
Hell yeah, brother.
Congrats. All right, man. We got one more segment to do. I don't know when Chugs is going to be back. If you want to go get him. Also, shout out to OC Raider. Raider J, am I in, Mitch? I sent you a Venmo. Raider J, what is your actual name? Because a lot of times that helps me, and I might say your name, but I might say it completely wrong, and if I say it completely wrong, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names. Buzz-O-Matic, you in. And then I got Fat Bearded Dad in. I got Samantha Ratcliffe, hopefully I pronounced that right, in. We got Paige Davis. What's up, Paige? In. Alexis Nunez, in. And then Irma Rodriguez, in. So right now, 30 people are in. 30 people are in. And Irma's messaging me real quick. What do we got, Irma? Irma Rodriguez in. So I saw somebody say Raider J. Jose Ramirez. Let's see here. Jose, is that your... Because I actually don't see a Jose Ramirez on my Venmo history. I see a Manuel. I have a Manuel Ruiz. Mo, Ryan. Jose Ramirez, you came in after Ryan Campbell, Chase Coe. So, yes, Jose, I got your name. That's on me. That's what you need to do. Sometimes you guys got to call me out if I miss one. Because sometimes when they come in sporadically. Also, Robert Boone, you in. So right now we have 32 people, which means the winner would get $160. So Raider J, that's on me.
The pot keeps getting thicker and thicker.
The plot thickens.
The pot thickens.
The pot thickens. Correctamundo. All right, y'all. We are going to do this race at the very end of today's show. So you guys are still going to have a little bit of an opportunity to get in for a chance to win some money. So don't worry. Next segment, I mean, if you want to wait for Jeremy, you can. Oh, okay. I got you. Sounds like my dad right now is in the chat as well. Well, how about this? Let's
Papa Renz?
Yeah, Papa Renz here is in the chat. If you guys want to get a few questions up on the show, let's use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat, and then that way I can answer some questions until Jeremy gets back here, and then we'll get into our next segment, which, again, it's more rumors. We're going to talk about Josh Jacobs. We're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, Aidan O'Connell, and I'm trying to think of what else we're talking about. But probably some NFL playoff picture? A hashtag Raiders? No, we usually just tell people to do it. All right, y'all, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I think a lot of times after a game like we just watched the Chiefs, man, I'm a very, very proud Raider fan. Kant says, I agree with Ryan Campbell. What is he saying? Mooncage, what's up? Thomas, I see you. Rebel Montana. RQQ75. Again, the only way that I can get your questions up here on the show is if you use hashtag Raiders or if you super chat. Once you do that, then I know I can get you up here on screen. So if you want to get on, that's the way to do it. Also, got some news here. The 49ers are adding Sebastian Joseph Day. Oh, no. Sebastian Janikowski. That'd be insane. But, I mean, there you go. Another example of the Niners, I think, doing the right job there. I mean, Sebastian Day played 14 games, got cut by the Chargers, I think just because he wanted the hell out of there. Scott O'Brien. Oh, boy, we got a few more. Abel in. Abel Beloso, you in. Patrick B in twice. And then I also see Scott O'Brien, you in. Congratulations. So far, 37 people in the race, which means winner would get $135 if my math is correct. I think it's something like that. All right, y'all. Jeremy is back here in the building. If all y'all want to show Chugs a little bit of love, spam Chugs down below. Or the other way to do it is by hitting that like button. We all know Chugs loves that. If you haven't already voted on our live poll, make sure you do so. Do you want Antonio Pierce to be the next Raiders head coach in 2024? Yes or no? If you haven't voted, make sure you do. We have over 2,200 votes over there. I see my man Braden, DJ Loaded, Buzz-O-Matic, Can't Control Life, Taino Raider, Sienna Cauley, all showing a little bit of love here to Chugs. You ready? Are we close? Oh, DoorDash is calling you. Queen Sarah Otto. Caesar, what's up? Robert Jansen. Raider Nation for life. Aaron Sabo. I got DJ Loaded, diehard Raider fan Scott O'Brien. Darth Fatass. What a name. What a freaking name. Darth Fatass. Randy says it's 6:32 a.m. here in the Philippines. Randy, that's insane. Where are you guys watching from right now? You're watching from the Philippines? Bonjour. There. Yikes. Kenny Hoffman. Kenny Hoffman in. Winner now would get 100. Actually, my math has been totally off on this. Winner now would get 180? 38. I have no. 190. Okay. 190. It's pretty good. 190, $10 Venmo. No. That one just came in. All right, y'all. Let's roll through some super chats here for Frederico. What would Al Davis say Raiders game and AP? To me, what Al Davis would say is the way that this Raiders team is playing is probably the most Raiders team that I have seen in quite some time. They're going out there. They're playing some tough football. They're playing some Raiders football. So I think that he would go with AP. Raider J, yes, you are in this one. I read this one out loud. But yes, you are in the Venmo. Sorry I missed it the first time. Sometimes when they come in, I miss one or two. But that's good that you called me out. I appreciate it. Let's go to Droid C. Holy crap. How about Droid first? And then we'll go to that. Thoughts on roughing the passer as a rule in your perfect football world? Does the rule exist? And if so, would you amend it? If so, how? I do like the roughing the passer rule. There are absolutely times that roughing the passer is a thing. The only time I don't like the roughing the passer rule is when different quarterbacks get different treatment. Like, everybody knows that Patrick Mahomes is going to get a way, way more roughing the passer calls than a guy like Aidan O'Connell. To me, if a rule is going to be a rule, it just needs to stay a rule. And that's why roughing the passer drives me insane, especially then when a guy turns himself into a runner and then you can't tackle him, and then you try to not tackle him as hard, and then he breaks the tackle. To me, as soon as they start running, roughing the passer is he's just like any other player, and just because a quarterback has a big name doesn't mean they should get more calls. Let's go to Judge Scheffler. Bang! What's up, John? Been busy at work. The holidays is a lot of work for me, and I ain't been on much. But it's been a while, so I got to drop this. I ain't been on much, but always looking for the Silver and Black Hills. Shout out to Mr. John Scheffler. a member of the Silver and Black Hills. And man, oh man, John, we had ourselves a hell of a time yesterday. I mean, it was a very, very unbelievable game. But John Scheffler, I hope you had yourself a Merry Christmas with you and your family. I appreciate, obviously, as much as you do for the show. But from the honest standpoint, like, you guys make this show a lot of fun. People like John pulling up here on a day after Christmas, willing and wanting to watch the Raiders report. It's one of the biggest confident boosts I can get. It's one of the biggest thank yous that anybody could get because, believe it or not, when you start doing what Chugs and I do here, the amount of people that tell you, oh, this show is never going to work. Forget people like John. You get a guy like Tim. You get a bunch of OGs in the chat. Makes it a fun job, man. So, John, appreciate you. Let's go to Tim Martin. First time super chat. With the lack of productivity from the offense and it not having a quarterback, how unhappy do you think Davante Adams is? I mean, he's probably frustrated. I think unhappy is a different word. Like, to me, I would actually be very upset with Davante if he was unhappy with the current situation he's in because the Raiders are winning football games right now and they just beat the Chiefs. And you saw how happy Davante was last week against the Chargers. You know, he's bouncing up and down. He's got his hair going all over the place. If Davante was legitimately unhappy, I would say shame on him. Like, again, you can be frustrated, and there's a difference. Being frustrated because he's not putting up the numbers that he should, okay, I agree with that. Yes, the quarterback play has been bad, but I would say that Davante dropped 2 balls yesterday. You catch those 2 footballs, maybe it's a little bit of a different scenario, but sure, I think he's definitely frustrated. He better not be unhappy because the Raiders are winning. Let's go to Richard. What's up, man? Keep Pierce, get new offensive coordinator, and pick up Jalen Daniels from LSU. That's the play, Mitch. Richard Payton, here's my question to you then, all right? Because to me, if you want to make sure that you get Jaden Daniels from LSU, the Raiders right now are picking at number 13 in the NFL draft if the season were to start today. If you want to get Jaden Daniels, so you got to go 13-3 based off of what that trade typically has costed. That means that you're going to give up 3 first-round picks and Davante Adams. And if anybody's like, that's way too much, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, then you have not followed a lot of NFL trades. You haven't followed the NFL draft all that closely. The 49ers gave up to get from 12-3, 3 first-round picks. Now I'm talking going 13-3, and a draft that's regarded as a better draft, so it's going to cost more. So if that's your plan, I'm just letting you know that you have to be okay with the idea of giving up 3 first-round picks, and you're going to give up Davante Adams to get Jaden Daniels. If you're okay with that, that's your side of it. To me, though, I would rather the Raiders give up like a 3rd-round pick to try to get Justin Fields instead of giving up 3 firsts and Davante to get Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Justin Fields, but you got to think about how much it is going to cost you to go up and try to get one of those top 3 quarterbacks because that's what it's going to cost. So make sure you're ready to do it. Let's go to Adam. Hey, what's up, Mitch? This win was amazing. Adam, get a pick, but could not agree with you anymore, my man. My girlfriend and I are having a baby. Oh, man, that's beautiful. Which means new Raiders baby in the way, even though she's a Niners fan. Hey, raise, I guess I don't know if it's a boy or girl yet. Raise him or her right. And my only thing that I'm going to ask Adam is when the baby finally comes, because we've actually had a few people do this before. When the baby finally comes, all I ask, I want a picture. Well, no, not Mitch. You don't have to name the baby Mitch. Though, I promise you this, Adam, if you named that baby Mitch after me, I don't know what the deal would be. I feel like I just got to get a jersey that says baby or like Raider baby or something like that. We just got to do something insane. I want to see a picture, though. I want to see the nation growing. What? Jeremy said we'll send you a wedding cake. That we can't do, unfortunately. Let's go to LC Raider. What's up, LC Raider? How many just win babies is it we trade up in the 2024 draft? Also, does AOC have cement in the shoes or something? My grandma can move better in the pocket. I mean, shout out to your grandma then for still being able to move. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
How much would you pay to see a grandma play one snap of quarterback in the NFL. And it has to be a pass.
With the red jersey on.
And it has to be a pass.
She's got to have a red jersey on. If there's even a chance. I mean, I don't know if my grandmother would even be able to catch. Would you? I don't want her under center. You don't want your grandma under center. She's got her hands this close to Andre James. I mean, her nose is in his butthole. And I don't want her at a shotgun either. I'm worried she's going to break a wrist. You got to put her red jersey. It's got to be like those old videos you watch where it's like the 80-year-old grandpa, nobody tackles him, and he's just able to run into the end zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Just one play.
In terms of how many just win babies to trade up in the NFL draft, I'll give it I think it's 2 just win babies. But I think when you put this question, you're thinking more in the first round. I'm just saying overall. I don't think it's impossible that the Raiders trade up in the draft at some point to select a quarterback. Let's go to Izzy. The Raider Nation team, love and respect, AP regardless of head coach experience. He is Raider Nation. Hey, man, if I still had a voice, I would love to be able
Raiders!
But to me, not only is he Raider Nation, not only does he bleed silver and black, not only does he want to be the head coach, not only do the players want him. I mean, you beat Kansas City, you earned it. To me, he's absolutely earned this job. The way that this team has played on the defensive side of the football, the more and more I look at this team, I look at it as it's the Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham defense, and you're still unfortunately forced to have the Josh McDaniels offense because of everything that they did in this offseason, all the coaching staff that they brought in, and just, what you have. Like, you're still kind of, it's been reported that they've thrown away 75% of the offense, but the amount of money and resources they spent on the offense, that's always going to be McDaniels' offense this season. So to me, if you're able to move on from McDaniels' offense, build your own, and you still have this defense playing the way it is, that's a Super Bowl caliber team. What more could you want? This team is playing at a Super Bowl level outside of the quarterback. You get yourself a quarterback, look out. Look out. LC, Grandma Cortez would make you proud, Chubbs.
I know she would. I
was waiting for she has. Or like just some out-of-pocket stuff. We got 800 people here.
No, Mitch, she hasn't made me proud. She's made me a lot of things, but proud, not one of them.
Yikes. And there it was. Kenny, you in.
Yeah.
Michael,
now you're getting it.
Michael Quintana, you in. Actually, Michael Q is in twice. Then I got my man, Benny Theoric. Benny, I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. Alan Kamesh, I think, is next. Kill Mesh, you in. Jeffrey Sandoval, in. And then, James G wants 2 more. All right, James G, 2 more. Jeremy, right now we got 45 people in this race. And now 46. So what's the math? Winner would get 230. So $10 Venmo for a chance to win $230. Phew, boy. It's pretty good. Scheffler, Mitch, when are we going to get that picture of Alex wearing that Raiders jersey? I would say, she has the jersey. I kind of been waiting for us to actually go to a Raider event until she rocks it. I can see if I'll talk to her today and I'll be like, hey, do you think we can get a pic? That way we can put it up on the show. I'll try to do one maybe by Sunday or Thursday. I probably won't be able to do it by Thursday. We'll try Sunday, John. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I think I got her a medium because that's the size that she wanted, which is actually the same size that I wear. I am a lot bigger than she is. But no, I was like, I think she should have got a small, but she likes to have the look where you look at somebody wearing a jersey, you're like, there's a 2 just win baby chance that she's got underwear on. Or 2 just win baby chance that she's got pants on. Like, I have no idea. But, hey, it's her jersey, not mine. Let's go to the next topic here on the show. Let's get into the next show topic here. Also, Robert Boone, I think I already said that when you in. And then Scheffler, also in. Right now, winner would get $235. One more super from Jacob Holt, and then we will get in here to our final segment on the show. And then it's going to be final call to get in for our duck race. Jacob, watching the D develop has been beautiful, and Jack Jones is definitely my favorite player right now. I truly do believe we can make the playoffs. I mean, the Raiders beat Kansas City. If you don't think that the Raiders can beat the Colts, who just lost 29-10 to the Falcons, wake up. And if they beat Indy, I expect them to beat Denver the way that they've beaten Denver every single time since December 29th, 2019. I expect it. I expect the Raiders to win out. Unfortunately, even if they win out, they still might not make the playoffs because they were unable to score any kind of points whatsoever against the Vikings. They're still in their favor that they would make the playoffs based on schedules and tiebreakers and whatnot, but it's still not a lock. We just got to hope that we can find a way to get in. All right, Jeremy. Next segment coming up here is going to be Prize Picks again, and we're going to do a lot of talking about Jacobs. We're going to talk about Jimmy G, Aidan O'Connell, and I got a little bit more of an update on Jim Harbaugh. And here's the thing. I don't know if some of y'all are going to like it. You ready? Suggs says he's ready. Y'all ready? Let's get into this next show here on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, if you had an amazing Christmas, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't have an amazing Christmas, you're probably a Chiefs fan. I don't know about y'all, man, but watching Las Vegas frustrate Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Brittany Mahomes, Taylor Swift, it was the greatest Christmas present you could have possibly given me. And if you feel the exact same way, hit that subscribe button. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raider Report. It's OC Raider here on today's show. And coming up, we're going to talk about Josh Jacobs. We're going to talk about should the Raiders put Jimmy Garoppolo in over Aidan O'Connell because, hey, 2 games left. Does it give you a better chance to make the playoffs? And then Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders. What is the latest around the Michigan football head coach? All of these stories coming up right here on the Raiders Report. So let's talk about Jacobs and whether or not he is going to be back in the silver and black in 2024. I've talked about this multiple times, and I have really kept the exact same answer. I've kept the exact same energy. And after a game where Zamite White proved that this team can win football games without Jacobs, I'm telling y'all, Josh Jacobs is not coming back to the Raiders next season. This is 4 just win babies. Believe it, baby. Jacobs is a hell of a running back. Let's get it straight. But the way that this team is going, it does not make sense to pay the amount of money Jacobs is going to want next offseason. And he's going to be a free agent in 2024. You're not going to franchise tag him because if you franchise tag him, it's going to cost $14 million. And the Raiders are 2-0 this season without Jacobs. And I'd make the argument you had your best offensive game that you've had the entire season without him. And then, sure, I understand the fact that the Raiders did not have a good offensive outing, but Zamite White still had a hell of a football game. 22 carries, 145 yards. Bottom line is this. Running back like Josh Jacobs, he is a top 10 back. But backs do not have the amount of impact in a game that I think a lot of fans think that they actually do. And because of all those reasons, it's not going to happen. The only way Jacobs does come back to Las Vegas is if he's willing to take a team-friendly deal. But from everybody that I talk to, and I don't blame Jacobs, he wants a longer-term deal, and he's not going to take a team-friendly deal. So you add those things together, and that means Jacobs is playing football somewhere else. This season, Jacobs, 233 carries, 805 yards, 6 touchdowns. Yes, he has been better, I think, since Pierce has kind of taken over, and when the Raiders win games, a lot of times it's on the back of Jacobs. But here's the thing. I mean, I said this after he had his incredible season. He's going to have a down year, and it's just the way that it goes a lot of times. Yes, the offense is bad, but the Raiders' offensive line has played much better than what has been given credit. Plus, Jacobs has lost a step or two, and that usually happens when you get the heavy workload that Jacobs got last season. He's been a good running back. He's been a reliable running back. But if you're the brand new head coach of the Silver and Black next season and you're telling me, okay, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Jacobs wants $10 million per year. Am I going to pay a running back $10 million when I just saw what Zamite White was able to do? Is Zamite White as good as Jacobs? No, he's not. He's not even close to Jacobs. But I also believe that you could go out, you can find a running back in the draft, you can maybe sign a cheap running back in free agency, pair that with Zamite White, then I can use that extra money and invest that into maybe the offensive line. I can invest that into maybe going out and finding a bigger need for this team. Maybe it's finding another corner. Bottom line is this: I'm not investing that money in the running back position. I like Jacobs, but doesn't make financial sense for where the Raiders are at. But I got to know from all of y'all, do you bring him back or do you let him walk? Should the Raiders bring back JJ? Fan favorite, number 8, was drafted in the first round, number 24 overall, just a few seasons ago. He's been a workhorse. He's been a bell cow for this team. But should the Raiders bring back Jacobs? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. The Raiders should invest their money in other areas, not the running back position this offseason. When you consider the fact that you got to find a quarterback, when you consider the fact that you're going to lose 3 potential starting offensive linemen, and as far as I'm concerned, if Patrick Graham and Antonio Pierce want to invest that $10 million even more into the defense and make this defense even better, I'm on board with it. You can win in the NFL with a running back by committee, and good teams, the more and more you see those good teams, that's the route they're going, and I'm hoping that the Raiders go with the exact same route. Let's go to the next one here. Mitch, it's time to put in Jimmy Garoppolo over Aidan O'Connell. We talked about it after the Raiders lost 3-0 to the Minnesota Vikings, and there were fans everywhere saying, you got to do it. I sat up here on this show, and I said, no, you cannot do it. Well, now the Raiders beat the Chargers. Well, now the Raiders beat the Kansas City Chiefs despite Aidan really struggling on Christmas. So now you got 2 games left. Does Jimmy G give you a better opportunity to make the playoffs? Some people might say so. So is it time to put in Jimmy G over Aidan? I'm going to give you my answer, but first, I got to show some love to PrizePicks. And if anybody out there wants to get started with our awesome sponsor, it's easy, it's simple. In fact, I would even say it's daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is choose more or less on player values, whether it's passing yards, rushing yards. Heck, there's receiving yards, there's rushing, receiving combos, there's tackling, there's field goals made, there's fantasy score. I'm telling you, there's so many different areas that you could choose from, and all you got to do is pick 2 or more players. And if you want to see my slate for Thursday Night Football, these are the picks that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Joe Flacco more in the passing yard world because Joe Flacco is playing like he did back in 2012 when the Ravens made their Super Bowl run. Amari Cooper just went for 265. Now all he's got to get is 55.5. Garrett Wilson, leading receiver there in New York, he gets the majority of the targets. And then Greg the Leg Zerloin, more than 1.5 field goals. If this hits, I put 10 down. I'm going to make over $100. Or you can put $10 down for 3 hours of entertainment, and guess what? That already is worth every single penny. So if you're like, Mitch, I like these deals, I want to play along with you, giggity, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. And make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. But again, the reason why you have to use those links and you got to use that code, that tells PrizePicks that you're watching the Raiders Report. And believe it or not, this does help me out quite a bit. Let's go to the next one here again. It's play Garoppolo over Aidan O'Connell. No. Tuck rule. Tuck that. Whether or not you think Jimmy G gives the Raiders a better shot than Aidan, if you're the new head coach of the Raiders, right, and if you're Antonio Pierce, you also have to continue to look forward. I am a believer that AP is the head coach of the Raiders in 2024, and there is no way in hell I want Jimmy G on the books next season. I mean, that's putting yourself in a hole right away, and the Raiders can't afford to do that. Has Aidan been bad this season? Yes, he has been. 8 touchdowns, 4 of which came against the Los Angeles Chargers, and you could make an argument that Jimmy Garoppolo might give you a better chance to make the playoffs over AOC because of how bad Aidan was. Obviously, I don't have a lot of confidence in Jimmy G because he was terrible this season, but the reason why you cannot afford to put him out onto the field is because if he gets hurt, which if anybody thinks Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt is a far-fetched idea, then I can't imagine what type of football you've been watching. But that's the biggest reason why you cannot start Jimmy Garoppolo, because if Jimmy G is injured, this year his contract could be fully guaranteed in 2024. So you put Garoppolo out there on the field, he ends up getting hurt. And then he's unable to pass his physical in March when the new league year's starting to roll around. Well, then guess what? He's on the books. I know the Raiders are already planning on cutting Jimmy G. Yeah, you're not going to be able to save his entire contract, but if you could still save something, whoever that new head coach is, like, that's what you got to do. If Antonio Pierce walked up to the podium and said, Jimmy Garoppolo is our starting quarterback against the Indianapolis Colts, I will step up here on this podium and I'll say Antonio Pierce is not the right man for the job because he's not thinking clearly. Jimmy G's contract in 2024, okay? He gets $11.25 million guaranteed. This is paid on the 5th league day of 2024. So if he's unable to pass a physical on that day, guess what? His 2024 salary becomes fully guaranteed. The Raiders cannot have that. And I know a lot of people don't look at the full overall contract details, but I'm telling you, the Raiders are going to cut Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to designate him as a post-June 1st cut candidate. You're allowed to. You're allowed to designate 2 players a year as a post-June 1st cut. It's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. The other name is going to be Hunter Renfrow. The sooner you realize it, the sooner you're going to be able to move on. But if you designate him as a post-June 1st cut, which means he's not going to be on the roster, but the Raiders will not see that money until after June 1st. So after June 1st, the Raiders will get $13 million. The reason why it's a designate is that way you cut him. Jimmy then can go sign with anybody that he wants. He can go do wherever. Nobody's going to trade for him in that contract. I can tell you that right now. But the only reason why you do this is just to save a little bit of money. Because if you just cut him outright, you don't save anything. Thanks, Josh McDaniels. Well, my question to you is this, because there were so many people yesterday saying, bench Aidan O'Connell, bench Aidan O'Connell. I get it. I hear it too. My question is, though, I don't think it's Jimmy G. To me, if you want to bench Aidan, you're better off rolling with Hoyer because of the following season, right? You're better off, if you want to bench Aidan, you're better off putting in Hoyer because you don't want to jeopardize 2024. You don't want to do it. So who should start? Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, or Aidan O'Connell? The answer to this one is, as it's always been, it's Aidan O'Connell, despite Aidan's struggles, despite Aidan looking like a rookie. I get it. We're still running, I feel like looking at a Josh McDaniels offense with Bo Hardegree, and, you know, there's a times where I was like, I kind of wish I'd like to see Aidan. That's not in an offense ran by Bo. But here's what's never going to change. You're not ever going to have a mobile quarterback. Aidan has proved time and time again that he is just a backup quarterback in the NFL. But with all that being said, you have to keep him as the starting QB, because I'll tell you this right now. If I'm a player on that team and you bench Aidan when we're on a 2-game winning streak right now, and it's the 2 best games that I've seen this Raiders team play overall, not offensively, overall Chargers-Chiefs game are the games that I have been more proud of this team, and this team is playing for Antonio Pierce. You got to keep that guy in at your quarterback, and you got to ride with him the rest of the season, and then you evaluate it, you see what you got going into next season, and you're going to realize that we need to find a franchise quarterback next off season. We got one more story to get into here on the show, but if you don't already know, we're going to be live on Thursday for Jets-Browns, so make sure you're tuned in then at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Jeremy Chugs and I are going to be live for Raiders-Colts Sunday. We're going to get started an hour before kickoff, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those notifications turned on. I know one thing that'll make your notifications go wild. If Jim Harbaugh was the newest head coach of the Raiders, so is Harbaugh coming to the silver and black? If you remember, I talked about earlier in the week, or I guess last week, that he needed to get a deal done or wanted to get a deal done with Michigan before Christmas. That deal has not been done. So is Harbaugh coming to the silver and black? Guess what? He's not. Tuck rule, tuck that. 0% chance that Jim Harbaugh will be the Las Vegas Raiders head coach, and there's 2 reasons behind this. One, Harbaugh's top choice is not the Raiders if he comes to the NFL. Hell, from what I understand right now, the Raiders aren't even in Harbaugh's top 3. Not even in his top 3 anymore. And I'm also just so confident that they're going to go with Antonio Pierce. But here's the thing, right? I believe AP is going to be the head coach in 2024. I also was told by a source that Harbaugh back to Michigan, as it stands right now, is only a 10% chance. So last week I said that Harbaugh was looking for a brand new deal, from Michigan. He gave Michigan a December 25th deadline. Now that deadline was not reached. It was reported by Ian Rappaport that apparently like a 10-year, $125 million deal from the Wolverines was on the table, but now there's brand new allegations against Harbaugh, and according to Harbaugh's team, he's getting sick and tired of feeling like he's got to battle everybody just to coach at Michigan. But there's been two teams linked to him consistently that have not been the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you were to ask me, Mitch, right now, where do you think the coaching destinations are for him? I'd say Chicago's number one because that's Harbaugh's top choice. But number two is the Chargers. And what this situation kind of reminds me of is last year when a lot of those rumors started to grow about Sean Payton to Denver. The rumors started small, and they got bigger, and they got bigger, and they got bigger, and some of that smoke continued to rise. The Chargers, to me, are going to offer Harbaugh so much money that it's going to be hard for Harbaugh to turn it down. I mean, I'm thinking like $16, $17 million a year. It was reported that it could be around 15. But there's a part, like if I'm Harbaugh, I'm like, well, you want me to go up against Sean Payton, Andy Reid, like you want me to go up against these guys? Yeah, I'm going to get Justin Herbert. And if I'm Harbaugh, I think Justin Herbert is an intriguing option. On top of that, Harbaugh has a good relationship with the Chargers team. Now, yes, when he played there, they were in San Diego, but he also has a great relationship with that city. If you guys remember, one of the first teams that he was the head coach of was San Diego, the college, and was able to turn them around. Then he went to Stanford, then he went to the Niners, then he went back to Michigan. So he has a relationship with that city already in San Diego, and if they're willing to throw a boatload of money at him, Harbaugh doesn't want to have to deal with some of the bullshit going on at Michigan. This might be his opportunity. So I'm telling y'all right now, if he doesn't go to Chicago, this is going to be the AFC West coaches in 2024. You're going to have Andy Reid in Kansas City. Sean Payton's going to be in Denver. Harbaugh's going to be with the Chargers. And then Antonio Pierce with the Raiders. If that's not the best coaching names listed that there is in the NFL in one division, I don't know what else you're looking for. So there's always that saying, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I know a lot of y'all look at Harbaugh as a friend. He might turn into an enemy very, very quickly. So here again are the latest Raiders rumors after their win against Kansas City. Jacobs gone in 2024. Book it. He's not going to be a Raider next season. You might as well start looking at some other options out there in the draft, maybe a cheap free agency running back to pair with Zamite White. Play Garoppolo over Aidan O'Connell. No, you have to roll with Aidan for the remainder of the season just because of the injury clause in Garoppolo's contract. And then Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders. 0% chance of that happening. I think he has a better shot of going to Chicago or the Los Angeles Chargers and than ever being the coach of the Raiders. Why? Because Antonio Pierce is the coach of the Raiders. To stay up to date on all the things going on around the Silver and Black on social media, Instagram, Twitter, hell, Cameo, hit me up at Mitchell Renz 365. You're not going to find anybody out there that does a better job keeping you up to date, and I think I'm halfway entertaining, around the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you're like me, still riding on that high after that win over KC on Christmas, I promise you we're going to have a lot of fun on Thursday Night Football. So if you're not already tuned in, if you're not already subscribed, click that big red button that says subscribe and watch Jeremy Chugs and I on Thursday Night Football. What up, Mr. Nathan Wolf? Dad, myself, and my 2-year-old have been using a homie, don't play that sock. Last 2 games is good luck, and it's worked. Nation sock. So you got a nation sock right now. Is that what I'm reading? A nation sock. I mean, I'll tell you this right now.
I'll take the tuna.
I know yesterday there was a few people that wanted me to put on the Michaela jersey. But I was so afraid to put on the Michaela jersey because I had the Brandon Jasper Christmas jersey on. But I was so afraid because of how that game played. And I'm such a superstitious guy where if I were to put the jersey on and then something would have happened, I would have felt terrible. Had to keep it on and rocking. So, Nathan, if it's rocking, it's rocking.
You put on the Michaela jersey, instant pick 6 by Aidan O'Connell.
Holy shit. Probably. That would have been the only touchdown he's thrown yesterday. He was bad. He was bad.
Dude, you just need to let him be bad for the next 2 to 3 years.
There was a part of me jokingly that thought, should you put in, like, Trey Tucker to run the Wildcat? Like, he was so bad in the final 3 quarters of that game, you had to wonder. I mean, no completions the final 3 quarters. Were you legitimately better off running the Wildcat, just trying to run the football, kill clock, trust your defense?
No, just because.
Sounds crazy.
No, because you at least have the threat of throwing the ball with Aidan O'Connell under center, where they just can't put like 9 people in the box. Like, you at least have to respect that Devontae Adams can burn a corner one-on-one.
I hear you.
So that opened up the running lanes a little bit, is the only thing I would say.
You put Trey Tucker, Zamite White, okay? They didn't have enough healthy offensive linemen or tight ends. Just 8 offensive linemen, those 2. Let's run it.
Well, you need one more person.
Math, 9. We'll put Devontae on the outside.
8 linemen, Devontae, Trey Tucker, and Zamite.
Let's do it. Let's run it. Now, obviously, I'm kidding. Also, Taino said his lucky sock is stiff like concrete. There's a reason.
Yeah?
And I think there's a reason behind that. I don't know if I want to know.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, tits the season. All right, y'all, I'm going to look final call here for our 50-50 raffle. I believe the last name that I got was Mr. Scheffler. So that means Norman Hernandez in. Anthony Green in. Let's go with the Great Tuna in. And that's where we are at right now.
All right.
I like it.
Let's get it.
Anthony Green, the Great Tuna, which actually puts us at exactly 50 people.
Oh, wow.
Yep, we are at exactly 50 people here.
$250 to the winner.
250. Let me send this to TV real quick. Got it. 200. Send. I don't know what. Jeffrey Sandoval, are you watching right now? I don't know why you're asking me for money. You're in. Unless you don't want to be in. I'm a little bit confused here, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I'm going to keep you in the race just because I already got your name down. So, not sure what you're asking me for here. Raider fan for life. Got to add another one. Raider fan for life, you in. And then John Benz, you in. So 52 people now, Jeremy, in this race.
DJ FaZe.
What up, DJ FaZe? First and Renfro for Fields and a player or late pick. I actually think the Raiders are giving up too much there. I don't think that you're going to have to give up a first-round pick for Justin Fields. And the only reason why I say that is because I think the Bears are going to be put in a situation where they're going to have to move on from Fields. And I think even Fields knows that they're moving on from him. So you're not going to have to give up a first. Like, if you told me a second and Renfro, I would probably do that trade because they're at least going to be taking on Renfro's contract then. But I'm telling you what, man, I don't know if you're going to have to even give up a second-round pick for Fields. If you told me, I know. The only way you're going to do it is another team has to put in. I don't know if you're going to have to give up a second for Fields. I don't know. I think teams are going to.
We're back on the third round pick for Fields.
It's not, but you're not. I think the thing that you're getting wrong, if a team, Justin Fields is definitely worth more than a third-round pick. But if teams know that they're going to move on from him, I don't think Chicago is going to get the deals that they're hoping for. Now, if there's a team like the Raiders that needs to step up and get a QB, I think that's a different conversation.
I think your logic checks out.
Yes.
That if Bears word gets out, we're drafting a quarterback, then people aren't going to overspend on Fields. They're going to get rid of him.
Yep.
I think your shortcoming is a third is still too low in that metric. I think it goes from the Bears don't even get a first,
Yep.
but they get a second.
Sure.
I don't think it falls all the way to a third.
I think it's going to be
There'll
interesting.
enough teams that go, well, if the Raiders only going to offer a third, we'll pony up and offer a second.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't disagree with that. If you're the Raiders, then you probably pony up a second in Renfro. Like, this was
Might not turn into a first round bidding war.
maybe. If I'm the Raiders, I'm not giving up a first for him. But
Well, it's a big question of where in the first.
correct.
Like the Raiders first, or if the Falcons make the playoffs and it's their 24th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a very different
Oh, I agree. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. I think it's going to come down to a bidding war of some sorts, but I do think that his value will go down because teams know that he's not going to be going back to Chicago. Okay, I'm going to refresh one more time, and then last name that's getting in this race is Carlos Polino. So I just sent you one more name. Carlos Polino, John Benz, Raider fan for life. 53 people in this race, which means winner would get $265. 265 to the winner.
Oh, great.
265 to the winner. Good luck to everybody out there. Happy holidays. Oh, we're doing this one? I like it. I like it a lot. All right, starting in 3, a 2, a 1. Let's get it. Winner gets $265. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for Robert Boone, and then I'm going to root for James up there. Anybody that looks like Chuck. Manuel Ruiz, that's who I put my money on. Paige Davis, though, I'll tell you what. She's going to run a solid race here. Watch out for Tuna. Look at this right here. Robert Boone in his Chuck outfit. Watch out for Anthony Sultan. Oh, man, Andy Arnold.
Chuck.
Let's go, Chuck. I mean, I'll tell you what, that's probably the most like Chuck I've ever seen. Come on, Anthony. Nico Lav's in the lead.
Just think Coop could beat all these dogs.
Now it's John Benz. Robert Boone by just a nose. Luis Rodriguez. Always a contender here. 13 seconds to go.
Nico Laz!
Winner's going to get $265. It's going to be Nico Laz. It's been a minute. I think it's, Nico. Brian Folsom. I think it's going to be Brian Folsom. Salvador Mena. Who's it going to be? I have no idea. I legitimately have no idea who won that race. That's the closest race. Brian Folsom!
Wait.
Brian Folsom.
Maybe he ran past him at the very end. It says Ryan Campbell 2, Salvador Mena 3.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it's wrong.
Yeah.
All right, how about this, Jeremy? Because that race was so close. Brian, I'm going to send you $265. So, Brian, you're going to get that. Let's do a race between Ryan Campbell and Salvador, one-on-one. Winner gets $20. They'll double their money. Real quick.
I'm down.
You guys in? I mean, that's the closest race I have ever seen. It's the closest race I have ever seen. So, Brian, I'm going to send you Mr. Brian Folsom. How many times has Brian won? Let's see here. He's played 1, 2. I mean, Brian races a lot. Holy shit. Brian won $550 back on November 12th. That's the only time he's won. Since that time, though, Brian's been racing heavily. Brian, congratulations, my guy. Can you just confirm down below that you just received $265? Dog race. $265. $265. Bang. Oh, boy. Brian, just check with me that you just received 2, 6, and a 5. Okay, this next race then, Jeremy, is going to be for $20. And that was between who?
Salvador Mena and Ryan Campbell.
All right, I like it. Brian, you just received it.
All right, in 3, 2.
Oh, the worst one.
1.
Winner gets $20. Oh, my Lord. Ryan Campbell, Salvador Mena. Winner gets $20. Come on, Salvador. Come on, Ryan. I'll tell you what. This snail race is actually a lot better than the first one we did. Is it different snails?
They're fast.
Oh, they're fast snails.
You can do fast or slow.
I was going to say, I also don't know what room they are in.
Very dirty.
I'll tell you this right now. Soaked. I mean, this is disgusting.
There is snail goo all over this place. You don't even want to see their socks.
This is actually what I picture Coop's room to look like. There's just goo all over the floor. There's a baseball, an eraser, a random coin. You know it too, Petey. There's some, yeah.
No,
There's some goo.
This is Tyler Jones's room. For sure.
Maybe. There's definitely a chance here.
Ryan Campbell.
I'll tell you what, winner. This is going to come down to a shell. Oh my God. What just happened?
What?
I mean, Ryan Campbell, I think, tripped on that leaf, and then
What just happened?
I'm pretty sure Vin Diesel just hit the nos and pushed him forward. I have no idea what that was.
What is going on?
What just happened? I mean, did we lose internet for a second?
I don't know.
Ryan Campbell with the win. I have no idea what that was. I almost wish that was a Rebel and Marshall race. Imagine with that ending.
Bro, Marshall
would have had a heart attack.
Marshall would be he would have gone home.
Probably. Ryan Campbell. Oh, man. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have an answer for what you just saw there. I wish I had an explanation. I don't have one. I don't have one. Congrats. I actually feel bad for Salvador Mena. Dude just got robbed. Dude just got robbed.
That was wild.
All right, y'all. Congrats, Ryan. That was funny. That was a good time. Salvador, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. That's probably the two most heartbreaking losses I have ever seen in a race that we have done. And Salvador just experienced both of them. All right, guys, to the 600 people still tuned in here, much love to all of y'all. If you haven't already, Snailgate. I love it. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be live on Thursday. We're going to be live on Sunday. Have a happy holiday. I'm actually off tomorrow here at Chat Sports, but don't worry, you guys still are going to get a video every day here on this channel. That's the deal. I'm a happy man. I had to work on Christmas, so that's why I'm off tomorrow. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all for hanging out with us here on the Raiders Report. Great Raiders win yesterday against Kansas City. We're going to keep the momentum going. We're going to keep the good vibes going. I'll see you guys live here on the Raiders Report on Thursday. Until then, peace.